It's Whitney Day. It's Saratoga. The De La Rose kicks off stakes action where 4-year-old filly Uni tries to follow up her 2018 debut victory with a third stakes triumph. On Leave has some unfinished business in that race. An odds-on favorite in that event. Last year she just missed. Running second to a long shot, she'll face again. And New York bred Diversified leads the way in the 91st running of the Whitney. If he can repeat his brilliant performance from the Suburban, could make short work of a very deep and talented field. All that and more coming up on this Saturday edition, Whitney Day of Saratoga Live. Great to have you with us. It is presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Beautiful weather for this Saturday afternoon, one of the premier days of the premier meet in the entire country here at Saratoga Springs, New York. Great to have you with us. We're expecting a packed house this afternoon. The sun is shining, and we are set for sensational action coming up. Welcome to those watching on Fox Sports 2. Greg Wolf, former New York Met and LA Dodger. Paul LaDuca here with me. And, of course, today all about the Whitney later on this afternoon in the older horse division. And Diversify, he ran lights out in the Suburban. Can he do it again?
Well, listen, his trainer must think so because he was a late entry into the race, and it's crazy now that we're in the 91st running of the Whitney. So much history behind it, and 2 New York breds are going to be your first and second choice. And listen, he was so dynamite in the Suburban. When we got to meet up with him in the Whitney draw, he said, listen, after his last work, he's doing so well, Paul, I had to enter him into this race.
Yeah, the Woodward was the original plan. Rick Violet says I couldn't keep him in the barn. He is doing that well. Get signed up, started, play along, $200 new member sign-up bonus. Use the promo code Saratoga Live, and you'll get $200 in your account. Go to NYRABets.com. This is a look at the races we're bringing you this afternoon. Race 2 kicks off an early pick 4. They're off the turf in that race to kick off the sequence. We'll have all these coming up. Of course, that 5th race, that is where we're going to see Uni, the defending champ, Thundering Sky, the big long shot in that race. And, of course, Chad Brown looks to hold a very strong hand. Weather and track conditions brought to you by Piranha Fly Spray. Piranha on, pests gone, main track fast. Turf condition listed as soft. We got a lot of rain last night, but, of course, that let up early this morning. Early pick 4. Paul LaDuca, what'd you come up with?
Well, we came up with, I guess, an economical ticket. 1-3-15 with all the scratches in here. I'm surprised the 1 isn't getting played in here. I thought they had a look. Spirit Animal. I thought, you know, for Chad Brown getting an outside post had a good look. Race number 3 is the State Bred Maiden 40. 2, 6, and 9 in there. Do not throw out the 2 Toga. We're at Saratoga. Come on. Race number 4, 1A in the 9. I think the 1A is going to get singled in a lot of tickets. The Caretaker. I'm going to give the 9 a tiny bit of shot. Call Me a Star. And then 1, 4, 5, 7. I do think On Leave is going to be the horse to beat in a De La Rose.
Keep in mind, race 2, race 4. Those 2 both taking off the turf this afternoon. Now let's check in with Maggie Wolfendale. Hi, Maggie.
Hey, Greg, and it's quite miraculous that the main track here at Saratoga is labeled as fast. I mean, there is still a lot of moisture in it, but the fact that we're able to harrow it and kind of keep it as an even surface is really something to be said and commendable to the maintenance crew here. So we are seeing a fairly tight fast track. Keep that in mind because these horses that were intended to run on the turf here might appreciate the fact that it is that tighter type of surface. So let's check out that Chad Brown runner that Paul LaDuca was just talking about. Number 1, Spirit Animal. He's a huge price and he keeps creeping up. He's currently 8-1. Now, maybe it's because he does not deserve a look at all on the main track. But looking at him, he's just an athletic type of runner who came in here well prepared by his connections. He was moving quite nicely over this main track here. So at a big price, and the fact that Chad decides to keep him in, I'm encouraged by that. As we'll take a look at number 3, that is Casa Creed, who's coming back off short rest. Now, the short rest, I'm okay with it with this runner. He's showing good energy, especially out on the track here. He's that much more fit. And furthermore, as he goes to the 6-7, I think the longer this horse gets to go in distance, the better he'll become. And then finally, 15, same thing can be said for Bronxville. Tall, scopy horse that is crying out for more distance. And I thought making a premature move and coming up a bit tired in his first effort only speaks to the fact that he'll move forward in this event here for trainer Ray Handel. Greg?
Maggie, thanks. Yeah, Bronxville's interesting. Showed speed that first time out. Kendrick Carmouche, one of the best speed riders on this circuit, is on board.
Yeah, interesting sire, too. A lot of people don't remember who that is. That's He's Had Enough, who took Shanghai Bobby right down to the wire in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile when Rosina Pravnik got Shanghai Bobby to get home. So the 15, a definite player in here at 8-1, but the money now continues to show up on the Todd Pletcher runner here at 9-5.
Social Paranoia, that is the 11. 2 sprints, now stretching out. We shall see. You know one of my favorite angles, though?
It is, I know.
No. You know what it is.
What? Blinkers off.
Speed, taking the shades off.
Yes.
Britas Bay, the 2, making that move for WW Wesley Ward with that inside post with Manny Franco. Pick 4, it begins right here. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of horse racing's Triple Crown for the call to kick us off here on Whitney Day. Here's race 2. Here's Larry Colmus.
And the last one is in the starting gate here. They're all in line. We're ready for the start. They're off. Social Paranoia. Quick out of the gate. On the outside, Bronxville, Britas Bay is right there too with Casa Creed and All-American Hero. 3 lengths back to Golden Brew. Bridge to the Future on the inside. The trailers are Bumperdo and Spirit Animal as they head up the backstretch. It is Britas Bay on top by a neck. All-American Hero on the outside, pressing the pace in second. These two, 1-2 up the backstretch ahead of Casa Creed. And Social Paranoia is back running in fourth after a sharp beginning at 22.53 initial quarter. Bronxville is in fifth, heading to the half-mile pole. Then Bridge to the Future on the inside. Golden Brew is 8 lengths off the lead. 5 lengths back to the trailers, Spirit Animal and Bumperdo. Around the far turn, and it is Britas Bay and All-American Hero matching strides on the lead. Social Paranoia coming up to them on the outside. Now the 3 of them right together with Casa Creed behind them. Bronxville under pressure in fifth. The others need to get moving. Spirit Animals past a few. They're coming to the top of the stretch. Here's Social Paranoia on the outside. All-American Hero fights on. Casa Creed's closing down the center. Britas Bay is back running in fourth. Casa Creed and Junior Alvarado hit the front. Social Paranoia second on the inside. They've left the others behind. All-American Hero is third, but it is Casa Creed. Casa Creed comes home the winner over Social Paranoia. Third is going to be All-American Hero, I believe, holding off Spirit Animal in 1:23.47.
Casa Creed, Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott, Jr. Alvarado, second time out, the son of Jimmy Creed, the win.
Yeah, 32-1 first time out. And listen, you just cannot leave out any of this man's runners. Bill Mott, he's got a big smile on his face. 32-1 first time out, got the education. And again, we're always projecting about these first-time starters, but you know, the horse that has experience wins, and sat off a nice little pace here, swings to the outside with Junior Alvarado. Who put on one of the best curling clinics ever on Twitter. If you ever follow Junior Alvarado on Twitter, there's a tweet out there with him and Flo, the jockey, Florent Giroux, about him doing some curls. It's absolutely phenomenal, and those curls paid off here today.
So he's got a chance to sweep the card.
Yeah, he's won the first 2.
Yes, he has. Casa Creed, Social Paranoia, run 1-2. It's a photo for show here in the second race, but Casa Creed gets the job done. And Bill Mott, we talked about him every year, seems to win on his birthday. 17 of the last 24 years he has done that. He did it again this year, but he is off to an outstanding start at this meet, including with his 3-year-old Hofburg in the curling.
Yeah, and listen, you got to pay attention to where the horses are training. He has some horses that train at Belmont, but the ones that train here have such a distinct advantage. Casa Creed was training here locally.
6-1 to start things off in this early pick 4 sequence. We're going to take a break. We will have the prices when we come back, and a special guest joining us as well. Stick with us. You're watching Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2.
Once again, among the world's leading sires of stakes horses and graded stakes horses, Warfront has sired 8 champions and 8 millionaires. Recent Grade 1 winners include European champion U.S. Navy Flag and Lancaster Bomber, plus an ever-growing list of 2018 graded stakes winners. In the sales ring, his yearlings continue to bring prices well over $1 million. International Super Sire Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on Saratoga Live, and it's Casa Creed in the winner's circle at 6-1 for Hall of Famer Bill Mott.
Yeah, congratulations to the son of Jimmy Creed out of the Bellamy Road Mare, Achalaya. And I hope I did not butcher that. That double comes back $27.50. Junior Alvarado, and $15.60 seems generous on a man that is red hot at this meet.
We love the guest that Maggie Wolfendale has downstairs. She'll take it away now.
You're absolutely right, Greg. One of my favorite people here, Lee Einseidler. Thank you. That was cute. But Casa Creed, and you had told me opening weekend you had some nice babies.
Yep.
Talk about this guy and wheeling him back in 6 days.
Yeah, so he's been working great, and we run him last Saturday, and he was really finishing at the end. And I was looking at the overnight on Wednesday, and he popped up in the entries. So I got a hold of Bill, and he said, yeah, he's ready to go. He was running great last Saturday. Let's go. And we thought he'd be better at a distance. And we've been high on him since he came up here. He's a beautiful colt, and I kind of thought today could be his day.
Now, you've been with Bill for quite a long time. Has he ever done this before with one of your horses?
Not with one of mine. I saw him do it in Keeneland maybe a dozen years ago, and it worked. So why couldn't it work today, Maggie?
Well, Lee, talk a little bit about the name of this guy, Casa Creed.
Yeah, well, that's good. He's a Jimmy Creed.
Right.
And I'm in the tequila business with Casamigos Tequila.
Exactly.
And my son Jeffrey, who couldn't be here today but loves the game, he said, Dad, let's name him Casa Creed. So great name, and tonight we'll go out and drink a lot of Casamigos.
Rolls off the tongue, as I'm sure the tequila will be rolling down your throat a little later on.
It sure will.
Lee, congratulations. Always nice to catch up with you.
Thanks, Maggie. Great to be with you.
All right, Greg, I know you're a little jealous.
We love Lee Einseidler. He's always a great character to see around the racetrack. I think shots around for everybody for Casamigos.
Oh, that'd be okay.
How about that?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Second in the books. We'll set up the third in just a little bit. We have a very special guest joining us right now. Walker Hancock joins us on set. Fourth generation of the family to run storied Claiborne Farm. Took over at just 27 years old. That is incredible. How much pressure did you feel at that young of an age to have all that responsibility?
Well, thankfully, I've been around the farm for a long time. I was born and raised. But, you know, it's really nice to have my dad still around. And we have a great team at the farm, and they make my job easy. We rely a lot on them.
How much did you lean on? Obviously, you just said you rely on them, but how much did you really lean on them?
Yeah, I mean, Dad says, you know, he tries to retire and stuff. And he's, you know, but he's still around, and he's a great sounding board to bounce some ideas off of and keep me level a little bit, you know, go in the right direction.
So since you've taken over at Claiborne, the stallion careers of Orb, Datalink, Lee have all happened. And I know Lee holds a pretty special place in your heart to you in terms of just not only at stallion, but bringing that horse back, a horse who had a lot of issues as well. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, he was an unbelievable horse. I worked with him. I worked for Al Stahl when I got out of college for a little bit, and he was in the barn then. And then we transferred him over to Bill Mott later on in his career. But, yeah, that horse is unbelievable. I mean, he literally almost died on us. And for him to come back and do what he did and go to Dubai and do all the things we asked him to do. And, you know, he had a couple close calls when he returned from Dubai. Should have won the Woodbine Mile. Ran great in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile in his career. But he's a really cool horse. And, you know, he's got his first yearlings up for auction here over across town. On Monday and Tuesday, so we're really looking forward to his yearlings this year.
You've got that interesting pedigree, that dirt with obviously First Samurai with Galileo on the bottom. What does it look like so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's been very attractive to, I think, breeders because he was so versatile. I mean, he won going short, long, turf, dirt. He was Grade 1 winner on dirt. Should have been a Grade 1 winner on turf, but he was a Grade 6 winner at least on turf. So, yeah, the Galileo on the bottom, it's very unique for Central Kentucky, and I think breeders have seen that, and we're all looking forward to watching his runners hit the track.
One of the most intense and I think highly regarded in terms of just fans watching that race, in terms of a Breeders' Cup Classic, Blame beating Zenyatta, and that's just a tremendous showdown. Blame, though, turned into he was a 3-time Grade 1 winner. He was a Whitney winner here. Of course, it is Whitney Day here at Saratoga, but at Stud, already 10 stakes winners in 2018 as well.
Yeah, he's having a career year this year. Thankfully, it was a matter of time. We loved his foals and yearlings, and we were just waiting for him to break through, and this is the year he's had. So we're thrilled with where he is right now.
Yeah, was there ever a doubt? Listen, he was somewhat the villain after this race, let's be honest, okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah, a horse is going for 20 for 20, and most beloved horse probably in America at the time, Zenyatta. And he beat her square, and I think he didn't get his justice, but now he's starting to get his justice in the breeding shed.
That's right. I mean, he's been an underdog his entire career. I mean, he was an underdog here to Quality Road in the Whitney. He was an underdog to Zenyatta in the Classic, and you know, he proved that he was the best fair and square, like you said. But you know, he's had Dallas as a stallion, but after this year, there won't be any more Dallas.
You know, we talked about, he's thrown quite a few stakes winners already. One of them, though, Filly Fault, she's proved extremely versatile.
Absolutely. You know, we sold her as a yearling. It's unfortunate that she got hurt, but he has plenty of other offspring in the track. They're doing well, and we have a 2-year-old by him later on today that we're pretty high on, so we'll see what he can do.
We're very much looking forward to seeing a late return as well. She comes back off that layoff in the Delaware Handicap. We were able to show that race on our show. Wins at 1.25 miles off all that time. How good do you think she can become this year?
She's really done well from her 3 to 4-year-old year. I mean, it looks like a completely different horse. She's filled out. She's humongous, and she just has the most beautiful stride that you want on a racehorse. And you know, like you said, it was quite the feat for her to do what she did. But we're really looking forward to running her in the personal instant here later on the meet.
Was she the type of horse that maybe you, if she keeps getting better and better and stronger, that you could consider taking on the boys maybe later in the year?
Yeah, you know, we'll have to see. 1.25 miles, I think, is her optimal distance.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'll have to see how it shakes out. But we got to win the personal instant first.
Yeah, right.
I heard you mention when you're looking for horses to become stallions that you look for horses who are athletes. I was a little surprised to hear who your answer was of who the best athlete is, who you stand right now.
Who did I say that was?
I heard it was Algorithms.
At the time, yeah, he's a really athletic horse. You know, he's a good stallion himself. He'll get a fast 2-year-old. But, you know, Blame's also another awesome athlete. But, you know, when I said that, I was probably talking about more for yearlings when you're trying to pick out yearlings at a sale and stuff. But, you know, you got to be an athlete to be a good horse, so.
He knows what he's talking about.
We got to say congratulations as well. Pillar of the Turf inducted just yesterday from your family, your great-grandfather, Arthur B. Hancock. Yeah. What did that mean for you to see him up there on that stage and accept that award?
Yeah, it's really cool. You know, puts a lot more weight on my shoulders. I know, gotta keep it going, right? So, no, I embrace the challenge and look forward to the future.
I tell you what, man, you hold those shoulders pretty well.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
We thank you for all your support, and you cannot, again, tell the history of this sport without mentioning Claiborne Farm. So we appreciate everything you guys do.
All right,
thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Walker Hancock took over running Claiborne Farm in just his mid-20s, doing a sensational job. We're going to take a break in the action. We have more ahead here on Saratoga Live. We're just getting started on Whitney Day. We'll talk plenty about the big race still to come. And there is On Leave. That's a son of Warfront coming up in the very next race. Talk through that third ahead when we come back here on Saratoga Live. Stick with us.
Eclipse champion Blame is having a breakout year in 2018. Among the nation's leading sires of stakes horses, his recent top runners include Fault, Maraud, Marley's Freedom, Beyond Blame, and Miss Kentucky. He's also making a name for himself internationally with French Classic winner Singman. And with yearlings bringing up to $350,000, this 3-time Grade 1 winner offers outstanding value. Blame, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're on. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a link to the half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200.
The dramatic finish.
Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Dr. Fager got tested every way imaginable. You only know how good a horse is when they're in a fist fight, head and head with a top horse. It didn't matter anywhere, any place, any time, any conditions, any weight, quality of competition. Dr. Fager's there every time. When the legend places the truth, print the legend. That's what my book is about.
That's still to come later on our show. The man who is out on a crusade to let everybody know that Dr. Fager's 1968 season was the greatest of all time. This is Dr. Fager winning the 1968 Whitney, carrying 18 pounds more than the second and third place finishers, and despite doing that, just missed a track record by 3/5 of a second, won by 8 lengths at 1-20 odds. How about that? Pretty incredible.
Yeah, 18 pounds. That's insane.
We have a special guest on set right now joining us, Jonathan Kinchin, University of Texas alum. Good to have you with us. The first and only National Handicapping Championship participant to have both of his entries qualify for the final table. You won the 2015 National Handicapping Championship Tour as well. I don't care about any of that. You had a 6-digit score at the 2015 Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, American Pharoah helped me out there a little bit.
Yeah.
That day I had to take the cake, right?
Yeah, that was one of the most fun days I've ever had at the racetrack. It was a lot of fun. We were there. It was all happening live. When you get to ask for the check or get the cash and walk out, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and how did you get into it? How did you get into horse racing? Like, what's your story?
Yeah, my dad's that guy that's in front of you in line that's looking up at the screen and betting at the window, betting our address, whatever. I used to go with him at Lone Star Park, and I wanted to figure out how I could do it better, and I kind of got interested with the puzzle. I think we all fell in love with the puzzle. And it just kind of went from there.
Well, we're going to lean on your expertise here coming up for the next hour or so. We're going to take a look at race 3 next. This is a New York bred $40,000 maiden claiming event. 6 furlongs, and as you can see from the board, wide open right now. One more Tom for Dallas Stewart, current favorite at 7-2.
Yeah, these races are always tough. There's a lot of horses dropping, and obviously that's a big drop from maiden special weight to maiden 40. Going 6 furlongs, I'm always going to look for a horse that's going to be forwardly placed. I think a lot of times the difference between a maiden 40 and a maiden special weight is their ability to finish. So if you can find one that's on the front end and a maiden 40, a lot of times they'll stick around. So I try to find that, and it's tough to find when there's a lot of new form and first-time starters.
Yeah, and you're right. When you get to this race, you look at the 7, and a lot of people have that horse as their favorite because the horse is dropping. Now, Dallas doesn't dump his horses that quickly. He usually sticks down a little bit longer, but you have a Todd Pletcher first-time starter that's not really taking money. That's not that good. And the 2 in here, Togo, which I thought would take some money for Jeremiah Engelhardt's not really taking that much money.
Yeah, no, I thought he would definitely take some money with the name. And then also, you know, he's drawn down inside, which I like that sometimes in these races. You know the jockey's going to try to get away from their clean, especially with a first-time starter. So that's where I want to have my horses in these maiden 40s anyway, so I'm hoping that the draw actually works in his favor.
Well, if you want to talk about pace, look, we know there's a lot of unknown quantities here, some first-time starters. The 4-horse actually showed some speed first time out.
Yeah, he did. He was 8-1. He didn't get dismissed at the window. He was at this level. The worry is he's 5th out of 7, and he was beat pretty handily by a couple others in here.
Yeah, you watch that race back. He missed the break and rushed up, and that's one of my favorite trips to best bet back. It's not that checked in the stretch and everyone sees it. He missed the break. He rushed up into a pace that was pretty quick, and then just kind of fell apart late. It's his first time starting. Now there'll be a second time. I think that he can improve off of that for sure.
I want to ask you real quick, too. I read when you prepare for these tournaments that you're in, sometimes you're going to be watching replays for up to 12 hours a day. How much, on just to say a specific card like today for Whitney Day, how much time do you spend looking at previous races?
Yeah, it just depends. I mean, I try to do a lot of the work during the week and after the races actually run so that when you come, they're running back, you already have your trip note there. Yeah. You already know what you want to do. DR Formulator's got a great spot where you can put those notes in. So I try to get my work done during the week so I can have a little bit of fun, get the work done on the, early, get the bets all in, hang out a little bit, and then spot play from there. So, I try. I've learned that we as handicappers spend way too much time trying to decide who we're going to bet on and not how we're going to bet. Spend 12 hours looking at the race, and then we walk up to the window and make our wager. I've tried to flip that in my game, where I spend more time constructing my bet than I do handicapping the races.
We're going to check in now with Maggie Wolfadale. It's time for a paddock report. It's brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Curlin for $150,000.
And guys, I would concur with the board right now in that this is a wide open affair. We'll check in with some first-time starters first off the bat here, and we'll begin with number 2, Toga, as you guys were saying, not taking that much money right now, currently 7-1. But, you know, this race feels as though it's filled with some horses, well, that are turning back, and some of them, yes, they do need less ground, but others, they look as though they want to go a mile or so. So looking at Toga, he does look like an out-and-out sprinter to me, and Jeremiah is dangerous with his first-time starters, more so as 2-year-olds, but still, I would not ignore this runner who comes in here fit, is very focused, has those ears forward, is just concentrating, and he looks as though he may have some speed, though we'll see, because he's not taking much money. Moving on to number 6, Quarenta, for trainer Todd Pletcher. This one, a son of 40 tails, good, solid dirt family overall, is well prepared as well, a solid type, good muscle mass. Another one that's not taking that much money overall, but still, we'll see what he has in store. He's a little bit on the longer backside, so wondering if he does actually want to cover a little more ground than 6 furlongs, but still going out for live connections. And then number 4 is Ragnar Lothbrok, who on the surface of things looks to be the main speed, because we don't know what the first-time starters are going to do, and the other ones that have run haven't shown that much speed at all. And I will say that this horse is a big stuffier type, where he just looked as though he needed that race. He comes back here for Gary Gullo, and he is so much more fit. I think Ragnar Lothbrok could be very dangerous in this spot, Greg.
Well, that is who we were talking about, the horse that showed speed in that debut effort, 8-1 right now. You can bet this race, all the races that we show you, all summer long here at Saratoga, by going to NYRA Bets. $200 new members sign-up bonus going on now. Use the promo code Saratoga Live to take advantage. Go to NYRABets.com or download the NYRA Bets app. We have the post parade here coming up in a moment. Jonathan, I'm going to take an issue with you on some. I read that you have some cool tattoos and everything, a lot of them of horses, but you have both Zenyatta and Rachel Alexandra. That's heresy. You can't have both. You got to pick one or the other.
Yeah, no, I always defer when people ask me which one I pick. I say, I can't make that decision. It's like having 2 children, right? You can't say which one you like more. I think they were both great in their own regard. They both did cool stuff. They did different stuff. So I like them both. I love them both. And they were kind of what made me fall in love with racing, where I really kind of elevated my love for the game with those 2 horses.
If you had to win one race, though, at a mile and an eighth, who would you choose?
Probably American Pharoah.
Ah! Tried to get it out of him. Sorry.
Yeah, right.
Post parade coming up for the 3rd race here, the second leg of this early pick 4. And we're going to see the remaining half of the entry to kick things off here in just a moment. That is a first-time starter. Ziller, who's coming out onto the track, is going to break 3rd from the outside here. Here comes Ben for Patricia Meadow with Dale Beckner aboard.
Yeah, first-time starter for Patricia Meadows. She hasn't won here at the meet and hasn't won for the year, so a tough one to pick.
There's a look at Ziller. Again, breaking toward the outside here in this spot. 31-1, the remaining half of the entry. The 2 gets the rail. That is Toga for Jeremiah Englehart.
Yeah, I thought a player. I'm in agreement. If this horse breaks, it's going to be very, very, I think, big down the lane. You're getting a good price at 8-1.
3 horse, our American Star. This is start number 22 for Dudnath Shivmangal, still trying to get that maiden win.
Still trying, 0 for 21, 5 seconds. I'm not really sure if this 22nd one's going to be the one to get it done.
4 horse, here is Ragnar Lothbrok for Gary Gullo, second time out.
Yeah, he did break slowly, then rushed up. Look for him if he breaks a little bit quicker to be on the engine, and he does look like he's on his toes.
5 horse, first time starter for Charlie Baker, Rogue Nation with Eric Consell.
Mission Impossible gelding. One of my favorite trainers, Charlie Baker at Saratoga. I dare you to leave him off a ticket.
Yeah, he can really heat up here at this meet. We've seen it the last couple of seasons. Quarenta, firster for Todd Pletcher with John Velasquez.
Yeah, you know, this is a horse reportedly been getting a little slow in the stride, and Todd's horse has been struggling getting out of the gate, but I think a player in here.
One more Tom dropping in for a tag for the first time for Dallas Stewart.
Javier doing really well at this meet. I have a hard time with these horses that are cutting back from 8 down to 6.
Ninja Boys dropped into this level last out, but that was on the turf. Blinkers coming off today for Mike Maselli.
The horse opened up a little live. Now he's up to 15-1, but this is going to be the first time he's going to be in against maiden horses on the dirt, so maybe take a flyer on him.
And Preternatural on the outside for Christophe Clement, another class dropper with Kendrick Carmouche.
Yeah, absolutely. Kendrick couldn't get him out of the gate in the last 2 times. I'm not sure if he will here, but if I had to get someone to get him out of the gate, it would be Kendrick.
Wide open third race here at Saratoga, and the current favorite, that is One More Tom you're looking at right now, standing by with the trainer of this Son of More Than Ready. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
That's right, Greg. Here with trainer Dallas Stewart. And one more time, he certainly looks like the favorite in the paddock. But Dallas, what about this turn back in distance, a horse that didn't show much speed going a mile down at Belmont?
Yeah, well, he had a good work on the training track, 48, so it looks like it's picked his head up. Yeah. You know, this is the next spot. I didn't want to work him again. I wanted to run him, so here we are. If he needs one, we'll get him in the next spot.
And this one obviously going out for GMB Racing. How bittersweet is it to run Mr. Benson's horses, obviously passing away this past winter, but it's always good to see that his family's still in the game.
Yeah, we're still in the game. Gail's strong. You know, we're buying horses. She bought some brood mares. They have a farm. And, you know, it's an honor to train for them. They put a lot into the city. And, you know, now we're getting ready for One More Time and the Saints.
That is true. Also, Cathedral Reader, scratch today from the test. She's a lightly raced filly. Where may we see her up at the meet?
Well, I really like this filly, and I think maybe that was a little aggressive on my part. I really like her. After today, the rain, but the track's fast now. But we have the Priorish later on. I'll get a couple of good works in her, and then hopefully she'll show up there.
All right, Dallas, so best of luck here with One More Time. Looking forward to seeing Cathedral Reader a little bit later.
Thank you, Maggie.
All right, Greg, back to you.
That man who meant Mr. Benson, Maggie brought it up there. It meant so much to the city of New Orleans. Yes. And when he had passed away, there were parades in the streets to remember him.
Yeah, Dallas trained for him. Our colleague Tom Amos, obviously, as well. So, yeah, and I got the chance to meet Mr. Benson. Was a wonderful person. So he's going to be sorely missed in the community as well, like you said, in the city of New Orleans.
Well, we're getting close here. Approaching the 4-minute mark to post for this third race at Saratoga. And we're going to talk about one of the first-time starters. Never bad to have, well, or is it? First-time starter, drawn on the inside. If you have some speed, maybe it could be helpful.
Yeah, you know what Jonathan said is right. Okay, a lot of people tend to shy away from first-time starters on the rail because they tend to not break great. But if they do break great, it's an advantage.
Absolutely, because they're usually ignored on the board because no one knows what you're going to get. One of my favorite things to use as a handicapping tool is these workout reports. They're all over the place. I like the DRF one. The workout said best of a gate team. So the horse can pop from the gate. At least I don't know who he's running against in that work, but that's encouraging from down there. Then hopefully he will get out of there.
8-1 right now. We're talking about Toga, the 2. So this will be the debut for the son of Tapizar. Meanwhile, the 4. 6-1 on Ragnar Lothbrok. And we talked about the speed first time out. It came at this level. And if he can pop again, maybe he just keeps going.
Lots of reasons to improve. The second-time start, obviously, is a natural improvement there. And the fact that he broke, slow, rushed up, challenged, took the lead for a second, and then fell apart. You can give him an excuse there. And that's what I look for in these trips is why did the horse run poorly? And if there's a bunch of excuses built in, we'll talk about those later with Backyard Heaven, then I'm cool with that. I can handle that, and I'll give the horse another shot.
So right now, 5 to, wow, comes down a little bit more on the board. The potential speed here of this race. And then on the outside, yeah, Preternatural. Christophe Clement, 2 starts, now dropping into the lowest level the son of Ghost Sapper has run at yet.
Yeah, and see, this is the kind of horse where you look at and you're like, okay, he's dropping this horse because there has been no speed there. And a lot of trainers will drop and think, okay, when I drop my horse, the speed will sort of get this horse closer to the rest of the group. And I think that's what Christophe is thinking here. He's not the kind of guy that really loves to drop these type of horses. He's a colt still. You would think maybe they even geld him and try him again. But taking no prisoners here are going to drop. And this is what they do at Saratoga to win races.
Take a look at Christophe Clement there, maiden special weights, a maiden claiming.
42%. I mean, you can't not ignore that, and that's why the horse clicked down to your favorite.
Now with more on the son of Ghost Sapper, let's go to Maggie.
Thank you, Greg. And out here next to the track in the winner's circle, taking a look at number 9, Preternatural. And he's a horse that I know ran a slow figure first time out, sprinting in that maiden special weight. But to me, he is built way more like a sprinting type than going longer. So this turn back in distance plus the drop down, well, that's why you were seeing him as a 7-2 favorite currently. He just makes a lot of sense, both on form by connections and physically to me. Number 5 is the other first-time starter, Rogue Nation for Charlie Baker. As we heard Jonathan say, Charlie Baker, he is so dangerous up here at the spa. But this horse, you know, on the bottom side, there isn't much. The one sibling, the only winner, one going long on the turf. And Mission Impossible, they've actually picked their heads up a bit on the turf as well. And I just got the overall feeling that just purely from a physical standpoint, looking at this horse, looked actually more like a turf horse. We'll see. He is fit in here. I appreciate his readiness, but it's just, I'm not quite sure if this is the right condition. Greg?
Oh, there's a lot of question marks in this race, and that's what the board is reflecting right now. 7 horses in this race, bunched between 7-2 and 8-1 right now.
You got to make your decision. Sometimes these are the type of races. I don't know how you play these, Jonathan, as a handicapper. Do you take your, if you're playing in exotic-wise and you have a wide-open race, you just take your stand on these type of races?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in taking your stand. I think I learned a long time ago, you're going to lose more races in this game than you're going to win. So when you win, you got to make some money. And I think if you're spreading a lot, it's harder to do that. So, yeah, I like to take stands in here. My biggest stand, I guess, is that I'm playing against Todd, right, the 6 horse. You know, he's tried it 6 times, dropping running a horse first time in a maiden claiming race here at Saratoga in the last 5 years, and he's won once out of 6 times. That's not a Todd stat. Todd's usually a 25%, 30% trainer. So I try to look for those situations. $165,000 purchase feels like they're giving up a little quick.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. The horse will reportedly been working okay in the morning. I have a feeling the horse is going to get out of the gate slow, the 6. And it's going to be one of those type of plotters. And even Maggie mentioned it in the paddock that he looks like he's going to need more distance. If he breaks, he'll be dangerous, but he might be one of those horses that gets left and closes up here late.
That's been one of the big storylines of this meet for trainer Todd Pletcher. His young horses and even some of the other 3-year-olds, but first-time starters, not breaking well out of the gate. We'll see if that trend continues here. What kind of wager-wise, Jonathan, what do you usually what's your favorite way to play? Pick 3, pick 4, pick 5?
Yeah, no, I'm a big multi-race fan. My brain doesn't see who's going to run second. I like to vision who's going to win. And so those races I tend to like, try to get involved in those pools. And I've learned that sometimes it's best to step back from the pick 5 or the pick 6 and just play the pick 4 or the pick 3 and even the double, which I think is probably the most forgotten bet at the racetrack.
Yeah.
Or for me, the win wager.
Yeah, right?
Single a horse in the NYRA Bets late pick 5, and then it's a hard one to cash home.
Jonathan makes the best, I think, quote of the day. The daily double is the most forgotten and the best value still in this game.
Loading up here for race 3. Jonathan on the 2, Toga the first-time starter. You're with the 9 horse, Paulie?
Yeah, I am with the 9 horse. I think the 9 can sit off the pace a little bit and finish, maybe.
That is our favorite right now. Preternatural, the 9 for Christophe Clement. One of a few here dropping down in for a tag for the very first time. That is the horse to beat on the board. That horse cutting back in distance as well with Kendrick Carmouche aboard. Second leg of this early pick 4 here on Whitney Day. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York Racing for the call. Larry Coleman, take it away.
And here comes Ziller into the starting gate. And just a couple more to load now. Ninja Boys and Preternatural will be the last 2 into line. Ninja Boys steps forward. Preternatural and Kendrick Carmouche up to the outside stall. Going in. And they're all in line. They're off. Preternatural starting quickly with Ragnar Lothbrok and Toga now firing on through from the inside. Then it's one more time Our American Star. Ziller going up on the outside. Rogue Nation is right there too with Quarenta and Ninja Boys at the back of the pack. It is Toga and Preternatural, and these 2 vie for early command. They're going at it to the half-mile pole and run by that first quarter in 22.17 seconds. The pace is fast. Ragnar Lothbrok is 4 lengths off of them, running in third by 2. Then Our American Star fourth on the inside as they make their way around the far turn. Rogue Nation is next, and then comes Ziller, followed by Ninja Boys, who's down on the inside as Preternatural and Toga continue to battle it out, but Preternatural's getting the better of Toga right now. Ragnar Lothbrok comes on the scene, and Our American Star circles up 4 wide. 45.42 the half. Ragnar Lothbrok has taken the lead under David Cohen with a furlong to run. Our American Star moving up on the outside. Preternatural is there. Then comes Rogue Nation. Ninja Boys down on the inside. Ragnar Lothbrok's got it close to home from Our American Star. These two down to the line. It's gonna be Ragnar Lothbrok. 3/4 of a length on the wire ahead of Our American Star. Preternatural was third, and Ninja Boys was fourth in 110.94.
Well, we talked about this horse getting to the front last time out and then backing up. This time sits off the pace and breaks his maiden in a second start.
Well, David Cohen did a great job recognizing that the 2 and the 9 here, Toga and Preternatural, they just were going at it, and he sat in a perfect position here, Jonathan. And you said in the backstretch he was going to be tough.
Yeah, sometimes when you see those trips where they rush up like that, it doesn't necessarily mean he's got to win on the front end. It just means he's got some quality, right? It was a hidden trip, you know, that some people miss. And so he ran well. He sat right in behind the 2 horses that we liked and ate them up late.
Tell you what, Our American Star, I give him an A for effort, but he just will not go by. He just does not see the light. He does not see the light.
You know I'm a big believer in the overdue angle. It's going to come for him one day.
He's going to win one day. No, you're right.
Ragnar Lothbrok, Gary Gullo, David Cohen get the win here in the third, 6-1. Back-to-back 6-1 shots.
Yeah, listen, we started with the favorite to start the early pick 5. You joined us for the pick 4, and you've gotten 6-1, 6-1. So good on you if you're moving on, because you're on for a good payoff.
Prices from race 3 when we return here on Whitney Day at Saratoga. And in the big one, still to come, a couple of New York breds taking center stage. Diversify, he was lights out in the Grade 2 Suburban. Can he back it up here at Saratoga in the Whitney? And mind your biscuits, stretching out. We'll get Jonathan's Whitney take when we return.
How do New York breds perform? They win in world-class company. From Grade 1 races in Dubai, where New York sired New York bred Mind Your Biscuits won the Golden Shaheen for a second time, to Belmont adding to his status as the richest New York bred with a close second in the Met Mile. The Belmont Festival saw 2 more New York breds become millionaires. 4-star Crook in the New York Stakes and world record-setter Disco Partner with a repeat victory in the Jaipur. New York breds, get with the program.
Switches back to the outside. Exaggerator down to the 16th pole, but Exaggerator has turned the tables. He has won the Preakness. Phoenix has won the Travers over American Fire. Irish War Cry has won the Wood Memorial. Alice. Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and he's gonna do it in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Back on Saratoga Live, so much to do and see all around town. Not just all about the races, but let's be honest, it's really just about the races. But there is a lot to do around here, like that automobile museum. Race 3, it goes to Ragnar Lothbrok. Second time out, sits off the pace and gets the win for Gary Gullo.
Yeah, congratulations to Duchess Views Farm, the son of heavy breathing at the Langford mare Lavender Hill. Now 1 for 2, lifetime. And by the way, that pick 3, $259. If you're live in that early pick 5, you're live for a nice little score.
Yeah, it's going to be real good. Of course, a couple legs left to go, including this race right here. This taken off the turf. Now on the main track, New York bred entry-level allowance race coming up, and the Caretaker, remaining half of the entry, is going to break all the way on the outside. A main track only entrant, the one to beat on the board, coming off a win for Kieran McLaughlin. Look at our Whitney Saturday Stakes schedule. De La Rose going to kick things off, and that'll be the final leg of the early pick 5 Uni for Chad Brown. Precious as well, making her States debut in that race. But the big one, the Whitney, later this afternoon, and it's 2 New York breds taking center stage. With more, here's Gabby Gaudet.
As the 91st running of the Whitney Stakes takes form, it could be another battle of Saratoga between the top 2 New York breds, Diversify and Mind Your Biscuits. Diversify is signed on as the 7-5 favorite in a surprising last-minute entry. Although this wasn't the original plan, his trainer Rick Violette can't ignore how he is thriving.
I originally didn't plan on running because I thought we ran so fast and so hard in the Suburban that 4 weeks might be a little quick. But he's done terrifically, breezed like a freak on Sunday and came out of it well. So sometimes you're just supposed to run your horses when they're doing good.
2-time New York bred Horse of the Year, Mind Your Biscuits, has taken his talents abroad, winning the 2017 and 18 Dubai Golden Shaheen.
Here's Roy H. Mind Your Biscuits begins to fly. XY Jet, Roy H. Mind Your Biscuits down the outside. XY Jet, Mind Your Biscuits. Flo got him. Mind Your Biscuits.
But his biggest test this weekend will be the distance, his first time at 1 1/8 miles.
There's always the next race, the next race, the next race, and they just all happen to be between 6 furlongs and a mile. This race is the next race. It's 1 1/8 miles. It's here at Saratoga against a field that's not the toughest Whitney in the history, and we'll take a shot.
But the storyline does not end there. Throw in the 2017 Belmont Stakes winner, Taprit.
Seems like he's trained well since the Suburban. I thought he actually trained really well leading up to it, so we're hoping maybe, third time off the layoff that this will be his best race.
Last year's Jim Dandy winner, Good Samaritan.
Good Samaritan has taken the lead and he's pulling away. Good Samaritan has won the Jim Dandy.
And the promising Backyard Heaven, who is hoping to bounce back off of a poor effort in his last start. This battle at Saratoga may just come down to the wire.
It could come down to the wire, or if Diversify runs like he did in the Suburban, maybe everybody's just running here for second in here. How impressed were you guys with that run last time out, back on July 7th at Belmont?
Yeah, no, I thought it was really good. I think Irad Ortiz fits this guy perfectly. We talk about it on our podcast all the time about the jockey's dilemma of too fast, too slow, and if you're on the front end of a long race. And he finds that perfect, go a little bit fast enough to get the others off the bridle, but not too fast, but not too slow, so you invite the closers in. He fits this horse perfectly. I think he's going to be extremely tough today.
Yeah, listen, I agree. If he repeats his effort, they're all running for second. And the reason why is he seems like he likes to go a little bit faster, like Jonathan's saying. Like, he can go 109, 110, and I get it. I don't know if they're going to want to take Your Biscuits out of his running style. So him loose on the lead, 3-4 lengths in front, he's going to take a lot of steam out of these horses, other horses' kick, because the longer they go, the more kick he's taking out of their punch late. So look, when Rick Violette sends a horse and he's a cautious trainer and he tells you the horse works like a freak, I tend to believe him.
We know Dalmore's quick, though, so if he does go to the front, they're intent on getting the lead with that horse. Diversify, he's shown in the commentator. He showed the Saginaw. He can sit off the lead a little bit in this race. One of the horses, I think, with as many questions as anybody in here, Backyard Heaven. What happened to him in the Stephen Foster? He just didn't fire that night.
Maybe he was a little bit closer to a lead. Listen, Pavel sort of circled everybody. That was a weirdly run race. And, like, it sort of has confused me. I have learned over years of handicapping to draw a line through certain starts and the way the horse is coming into the race. I think there's some upside here. I just think he needs to turn the quarter big time.
Right. No, we talk about it all the time. You know, I'll forgive a race. If he runs bad today, then then he's just not as good as we thought he was. His run of the Ali Sheba was awesome. Yeah. He was really good that day. You know, they ran at night. It was warm that night, and so I'll give him one shot. He shows back up here, but it definitely wasn't encouraging the way he ran last time.
This horse didn't win his first race, let's remember, till December of 2017. Yeah. He's come along pretty quickly. I guess Justify kind of ruined that for everyone, though, because what he did in such a short time was so amazing. Yeah. Mind Your Biscuits, he's got a lot of question marks, too. But Chad Summers, his trainer, he believes he could be even better at 2 turns, and he feels one of his big advantages is he's so athletic, he handles the turns so good.
One of the biggest mistakes I think handicappers make is late running sprinter translate to late running route runner, and I don't think that's true. I think that they have those little bursts that they'll give you, and I don't know if he'll give it to you this long. He is classy, so I'm going to use him defensively, but I'm going to try to lean on the others.
Yeah, I cannot agree more with what Jonathan just said. He is classy. He might be the classiest horse in this field if you think about it, what he has done. He's gone overseas. He's done a lot of different things, but you're trying something completely different, a completely different ballgame, and you're going to take the horse out of his ballgame. He's going to have to be the best. He wins today, I will be surprised. I really will.
All right, so in the end, Jonathan, before we let you go, where are you going to wind up in the Whitney?
Diversify. I'm a sucker for speed. He's going to be out there in the front end or at least sitting right off of it. I think less bad things can happen when you're up there than when you're back there, so I'm going to go with Diversify.
The next tattoo, who's it going to be?
Oh, I retired. It hurts.
Okay.
Yeah,
very nice. Our guest has been Jonathan Kinchen. Want to remind everybody about this. Our bankroll builder, bet $50 to win on the Whitney. You will get $20 for Travers Day. Go to NyraBets.com. Get signed up and started and take advantage of that. It's been a lot of fun having you here. We appreciate the insight, and good luck again. I'm sure you got a lot more tours you're trying to qualify and win.
Trying as hard as I can.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming up. We appreciate it. Enjoy Whitney Day. We're going to take a break in the action. We will be back in just a moment. Still more to come. Our first stakes action of the afternoon. Uni, part of a duo in the De La Rose for trainer Chad Brown. We'll be back to talk this race next.
Success starts at Saratoga. The Saratoga Selected Yearling Sale has established a reputation for high quality and high performance. Recent graduates include Grade 1 winners Avenge, Bolt d'Oro, and Moonshine Memories, and 2017 Breeders' Cup champions Battle of Midway, Stormy Liberal, and Rushing Fall. The nation's #1 sale by percentage of Grade 1 winners, the Fasig-Tipton Saratoga Sale, August 6th and 7th.
We found Breeders' Cup champion Rushing Fall at Saratoga. Where will you be?
Back on Saratoga Live, and we're going to have like a battle of the bands, but for battle of the restaurants, Osteria Danny going to be hard to beat in this category. In fact, I am going there later tonight. Some of the best food you will find, not just at Saratoga Springs, but in all of New York. Got to make a trip there if you're coming out to Saratoga.
All right, I give in. I went. It's good. It's very good.
You coming tonight?
I haven't decided yet.
Wow.
The company is very, very good because you'll be there.
But you're still not decided.
Yeah, I'm still not decided.
Race 4, off the turf. The Caretaker, main track only entrant. 7-5 right now. Tom Amoss joins us on the set. Good to have you on, Tom.
What's happening, guys?
Happy Whitney Day.
Happy Whitney Day to y'all. Jonathan sounded great. I was listening to him downstairs. He's got a future.
Yeah, I think he does.
He does. Sharp, too. He liked that for a little bit. But in this race, if you're alive in the pick 5, you're looking probably 1A or 9 here. The 1A Caretaker, the horse to beat definitely in this race. And then Call Me the Star, the main track only horse.
Yeah, look, I'm with you, Paul. The 1A Caretaker, I think he was made for the dirt, and that's what we're going to. Just hope the distance isn't too short for him.
I think Call Me a Star, the 9, is going to be real tough in this spot. Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard there. That horse, second choice on the board at 9-5. And then, of course, our first stakes action of the afternoon. That is the De La Rose. The defending champ is back, but that was a surprise when Thundering Sky won it last year. Could she do it again? If she does, it will be another big surprise. We'll return right after this.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
It's Whitney Day at Saratoga. The De La Rose kicks off stakes action where 4-year-old filly Uni tries to follow up her 2018 debut victory with a third stakes triumph. On Leave has some unfinished business in that race. An odds-on favorite in the race last year. She just missed, running second to a long shot she'll face again in Thundering Sky. And New York bred Diversify leads the way in the 91st running in the Whitney. And if he can repeat his brilliant performance in the Suburban, it could be a long afternoon for the rest of that field in the prestigious Whitney later on today. Welcome to Saratoga Live. It is presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Great to have you with us on a beautiful Saturday afternoon here at Saratoga Springs at the premier meet in the entire country here at Saratoga. And one of the most special days of that meet each and every year is Whitney Day. Greg Wolf alongside former New York Met, LA Dodger, Paul LaDuca, one of the top trainers in the country, and Tom Amoss. Our stakes action getting started pretty soon here with the De La Rose. And On Leave, 4-5 favorite in this race last year. Had the wider trip of a horse who got a rail trip in Thundering Sky and got the win at a big price in that race. What do you think about On Leave today?
Well, listen, you can't say anything bad about this great mare. She's 7 for 17 lifetime. She likes to win races, Tom. I do think this feels a little bit deeper. You know, she's a horse that has fought all the fights. She gets a little bit of a rest, but there's some others that can run in here.
Look, it's going to sound a little counterintuitive. She's 7 for 17, but I think she's a difficult ride. She gets in position to win a lot of races, looks very good getting into that position, and then seems to get outrun a little bit to the wire. So I think she's a hard horse to ride.
Yeah. Jose Ortiz back on board with the assignment this afternoon. Couldn't get the job done as the favorite last year. It is a deeper field. I would say certainly this year Chad Brown has a horse who's been facing some top company overseas in France, Precious, not to mention Uni. So we'll see. That's an intriguing race coming up. You can bet that race, all the races we bring you each and every day on Saratoga Live by going to NYRABets.com. Get signed up, started, get a $200 new member bonus when you type in Saratoga Live. Here are the races we're bringing you this afternoon. Race 4, we will kick things off. A race taken off the turf. New York breds in an entry-level allowance. That 5th race, the De La Rose, which we were just talking about. Race 6, maidens going 7 furlongs. And, of course, we will talk plenty about the 2 big ones when we have signed off in the Test and the Whitney. Weather and track conditions brought to you by Piranha Fly Spray. The preferred fly spray, the Saratoga Racecourse, Piranha on Pescon. Main track, fast, turf listed as soft for today's action as we check in downstairs at the paddock with the rest of our crew, New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling and Gabby Gaudet.
Thanks so much, Greg. It's a fun running of the De La Rose, and it wouldn't be a turf stake for fillies and mares especially unless Chad Brown had at least 2 runners in there. And while I'm more interested in Precioso, who I think is a very talented runner, Uni, a horse you like a bit more than I do, is an interesting player, and we talked a bit about it before. Uni had shipped to California just about 2 months ago to run in their Gamely at Grade 1, and she got sick there. Question with her is, will she need a race coming off a bit of a layoff and having shipped across country and things not working out?
Yeah, obviously you can't see that on her PPs, so definitely important information for that. But prior to her going out west, she did get the victory at Aqueduct in the Plenty of Grace. This was her performance, her winning performance, and I thought this was a spectacular ride by Irad Ortiz, just saving ground, angling her out on a pretty usual way that we do see Chad Brown win in these types of races. I actually think she's really good at the mile. I know last year she went upwards of 1.25 miles. She's just going to get the acid test today, though.
I think she's a very talented horse. I don't know that distance is really a question. She's going to get an acid test, though. This is a very difficult field. The horses are entering the paddock, and you know what that means? That means Maggie Wolfendale's coming up.
Actually, Andy, they're about to leave the paddock as we'll take a look at some of the runners here in this off-the-turf event, beginning with one of the ones that stays into the body. That's the inside runner in number 2, Vitsal, for trainer Ben Colebrook. Now, he is a horse that looks as though he's much better on the turf, and I would have to agree. This guy has a massive turf hoof on him. He just looks more turf inclined, and while he looks fantastic, he's a big, powerful looking individual here, son of Tapizar. I just don't think this is the right surface. Next, we'll check in with the bad boy in this group, and that is number 3, A True Giant. This horse is very badly behaved at the gate. He has been a late scratch 3 times over his career, twice in the afternoon, once because there was an issue before in the morning, and now the blinkers go on. Took poor Rudy Rodriguez about 5 to 10 minutes to actually get the blinkers on him. He just didn't want to have them on. Finally, he agreed to it. It's a 3/4 cup. We'll see if it makes any difference if he's behaved, and which is the first hurdle, and B, if he actually makes it out of the gate promptly, as he did only once in his career, which was when he won first time out. Moving on to the outside runner, number 9, Call Me a Star, in which Irad Ortiz is named aboard here for Jeremiah Engelhart. This is the horse you want. He has the dirt for him. He looks the part. He's big. He's well muscled. He's feeling good. I like Call Me a Star here, Greg, as they are hitting the track.
All right, Maggie, thank you very much. Yeah, Call Me a Star, Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard. 2-to-1 second choice right now. It's going to be interesting to keep our eyes certainly on that 3, though. We've talked about this horse a lot, A True Giant, on our show over the last month or 2 with all those antics.
Yeah, look, paddock behavior normally carries over to gate behavior. So, as Maggie said, he wasn't good in the paddock. Don't look for him to be good at the gate. They tend to bring it with them to the starting gate.
How much can you do, Tom? I mean, how much? On certain horses, there's only so much you could do, right?
Well, he's still a colt, so
yeah.
The first thing that you would come to mind is to not let him be a colt anymore.
Yeah.
But and maybe today's the day if he gets it right with the blinkers, and maybe today's not the day if he doesn't get it right with the blinkers.
Yeah. Had to
not
go
the
there.
Day for him.
Had to go there. 9-1 right now. As you see Sam the Bugler with a call to post. For race number 4, this will kick off the pick 6 here on Whitney Day. And we are going to see the horse who is favored on the board right now first. It's the remaining half of the entry. It's going to have the outside post, actually, in this race. We'll see him on screen here in a moment as you get a look there at Vitsal, the 2, who's actually going to have the inside post in here. Had this race remained on the turf, he would have been the horse to beat here in this spot. But now with the move to the main track, the Caretaker takes over that role for Kieran McLaughlin with Luis Saez.
Yeah, you know, this is a horse that's had a little bit of hang in him, and I think Luis finally got to him in the front end, and he got a little courage. I don't know if he gets in the front end here. That could be the one negative.
Vitsal, he gets the rail, trained by Ben Colebrook.
I think this is a little bit of a sneaky horse. I think a horse that is going to try to make the lead out of the gate, has had some gate troubles in the past, though.
The bad actor, we were talking about all kinds of issues getting out of the gate. Today, the blinkers go on. A true giant for Rudy Rodriguez.
Yeah, but we saw what he did first time out. He's got ability. So if he can get out of the gate, he's another horse that could be a pace factor.
Another main track only entrant. That is the 5. Looking ready. Kendrick Carmouche will be aboard for Bruce Levine. He's quick.
Yeah, he does have a win over the dirt. I wonder if he's a little bit faster early over the turf, but then you look back here at Saratoga when he broke his maiden, and it was gate to wire.
David Canizzo takes over the training duties of Belleville Spring. Joel Rosario aboard.
I think the move from the turf to the dirt is a plus for this horse. Makes him a player in this spot.
Another main track only entrant, major contender, Call Me a Star. Irad Ortiz Jr. riding for Jeremiah Englehart.
Yeah, you would think Irad would just let this horse fall out of the gate and just sit there and wait for the pace to develop. Look for him to start making a late move.
We're going to check in now with Maggie Wolfendale, standing by with the president and CEO of the New York Racing Association.
And here with Chris Kay, as you were just saying, Greg, as Chris, beautiful day for the Whitney. But Mother Nature had other plans as far as last night. So we do see the cancellation of our last 2 races today.
Right, so it is gorgeous today. So if you're within the area, please come out because it's a spectacular day. But last night we were hit with torrential rain, almost 2.5 inches in just a couple of hours. In fact, when I got up this morning, there were trees literally flooded around our home. So it's just awful. But we're going to reschedule them for a week from now, next weekend. But it was one of those things we wanted to keep in mind, the safety of the horses on these turf tracks. We thought it was the best thing to do was just to reschedule them for next weekend.
And because we've had rain most of the week, turf courses have taken a bit of a pounding overall. But it is the weigh and the lure, and we'll see them next weekend. But it's Whitney Day, Chris.
I know, and Whitney Day has become a must-see big event day, and this truly is a must-see big event day. As we talked about earlier, this could be a very exciting day for New York breds, as both Diversify and Mind Your Biscuits are the 2 top favorites. So it should be great racing. And, of course, we've got last year's Belmont Stakes champion and the Jim Dandy champion from last year in the race in the field. So it should be fantastic racing.
I'm going to put you on the line. Who do you like?
I like you.
Diplomatic as always. Chris, thank you so much. And thank you for joining us and explaining what has happened.
Thank you. Take care and have a great day.
Okay, Greg, back to you.
Chris Kay has been so instrumental in helping keep the history of Saratoga, but also modernizing this racetrack. Of course, the stretch area, brand new. One of the great additions that they have made to this racetrack that just was unveiled this meet.
Just got a text from my wife and daughter who are there right now at the stretch, and they said, this is fabulous.
Yeah.
So it's top of the line, and you get to keep that Saratoga feel in a modern environment there.
Remember that song?
They let the Amoses in?
They did.
It's only just begun. It's going to get better and better here, up here at the spa.
Yeah, and again, for those just tuning in, as Maggie mentioned there with Chris Kay, the Grade 3 Weigh It, the Lure, those will not be run today. They will be rescheduled for later in the meet, but still to come, and that will close out the card, the Test and the Whitney, as we get set for this 4th race here coming up. And Andy, here's a look at Call Me a Star. He's run some big races at Parks recently.
Yeah, he has. But the one thing he's done also is he's run well in New York before. So sometimes these New York breds that run out of town, you wonder why they're not running in New York. And he has run well. And he's also a private purchase since his last start. And he gets a trainer switch to Jeremiah Englehart, who does such a good job. And feels like he's well posted and just kind of the horse to beat.
Yeah, and of course, he is one of the few that was entered for main track only. But not only that, Andy, I mean, we're talking about other speeds towards his inside, even the Caretaker to his outside. There are horses who I feel that only do their best running when they're positioned on the lead, and this horse at least has tactical speed.
No, I agree. Now, the 1A Caretaker obviously can win this race, and he can rate. But the point you're alluding to, and I agree with you, he was able to win when he finally got the front end. And sometimes horses that kind of hang on horses like the 1A, the Caretaker, they're great when you get them on the front end and they don't have to worry about trying to pass somebody. He can't make the lead today.
He's had some perfect trips in the past, and he just does not show that will to win when push comes to shove just before the wire. That's why I think he was so successful last time out, stretching to the 7/8 where he could dictate. But now with an outside post, we even have turf sprinters to the inside of him. I just can't ever see him making the lead in a race like this.
Oh, he's not making the lead, but he can close. Listen, he can win this race,
and
but
he does have the class advantage, I would say.
It's not as though he can't win. Just prefer the 9 in here. The wild card's the 3, A True Giant, and Maggie Wolfendale. Maggie touched on it in the paddock. This troubles the gate, and I worry with him because he's a horse that acts so badly the gate, and he was scratched the gate 2 or 3 times, flipping in the gate, causing problems. Now he draws the 2 post. He better start behaving himself, and I'm wondering if that's had an effect on a horse who ran lights out to win his debut.
Yeah, he is just a bad actor. We can see Ricardo Santana in this irons today, giving him a warm-up on track, but he's got his head carried high. He looks like his head's going all over the place. He does not look like he's focused on the task at hand, and that's never a good sign.
Yeah, he's just, listen, maybe today he decides to behave himself and pops the gate, but guys, you got any clever ideas than Gabby and I falling on the 2 favorites?
Where do you guys wind up?
Well, I'll give you the clever idea, and I think Tom hit the nail on the head in the post parade. And the reason why is I pick the 1A? Yeah, with trepidation. Here's the reason why. The 1A has never really closed and won a race. He seems like he tries to hang when he is behind horses. When he was in front last time, he kept going. Now, when you look at the 6, Belleville Spring, it's the horse you brought up, Tom, in the post parade. The horse's races, when he comes from behind, are a lot better than when he tries to go towards the front. I don't think he has clearly enough speed to get to the front in here, and he might get a decent pace to run into.
Well, his form is being obscured by the last two turf races. You put a line through those, you might be looking at a different horse, but I was posed the question as you were, who's the horse? What about the 2 horse, breaking from the inside post with Jose Ortiz in the irons? This is a horse that wants to show speed. I've watched his replays, and I think he may have a chance to make the lead on this group. If he does, I think he'll be hard to catch at this short distance of 5.5 furlongs with some of these closers like the favorite, the Caretaker, the 1A, coming late.
Hey, Tom, does it bother you at all that looking at the earlier races today, it seems, and it may have been the flow of the races that led to it, that horses making sort of outside runs from a bit off the pace have been the best performers? So is necessarily being an inside speed, and there is a case to be made, and I don't disagree with you, that he could be the speed, is being the inside speed necessarily an advantage?
Yeah, good point, Andy. But you know how it is in these drying racetracks. The track tends to change as the day goes on. So it's really hard for me to try to pinpoint what this track is doing right now off the few races we've had, just only 3.
Fair enough.
He showed ability on the main track. That was at Tampa in the second start of his career. His first 2 tries were over dirt, switched to turf, and that's when he broke his maiden, and they realized that this horse might have a future on the grass. But interesting, they keep him in here on the surface switch.
Yeah, you're right. When you look at this race, just on paper, it really does look like it's the 1A or it's the 9. It really does. You're sort of trying to look outside the box for the other horses. You're trying to project a little bit with the 6. I get it.
Let's talk about the 9 for a second. Call
but
me a
the
star.
9 is going to be tough in here.
You know,
Yeah.
Andy mentioned that this horse has taken his form to Parks and also has it as Aqueduct, but his most recent races at Parks are his best, the 9 horse. And those races don't always translate into other jurisdictions, particularly New York. So I am a little leery of the 9, Call Me a Star, although he looks like one of the fastest horses on paper.
In the last 2 times he's been entered in main track only. And I don't know if the connections are usually, they're trying to find a soft spot. That's not a true sign of confidence. I know you're trying to find a soft spot, but that's what you want to do when you look at a condition book. But
well, especially at a meet like this.
Exactly. You got to try to get him when you can. Yeah, you're right.
9-5, the 9 horse, your second choice. That horse on your screen right now, the Caretaker, he is the favorite at 3-2. They're on the extreme outside, right next door to each other. There they are, the top 2 choices on the board. You're looking at him as you take a look at Kieran McLaughlin. He trains the 1A, the Caretaker, your current favorite, and he has started to heat up over the last couple of days.
Interestingly, the 3 is going to be one of the last ones to go in the gate. I'm not sure if that's proper order, but I don't think he's loaded yet.
Well, this NYRA starting gate crew, they know all these horses so well. They probably know that he's a bad actor, and this was probably part of the plan here. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York Racing for the call, Larry Colmus.
For the start, they're off. And it is Call Me a Star who comes out the best. Running out there for the early lead with Looking Ready. Vitzal on the inside. The Caretaker is next. Belleville Spring and a True Giant at the back of the pack. 4 lengths off the lead, moving for the far turn. It's Vitzal and Looking Ready. These are the 2 that will take them into the turn a half length apart. From Belleville Spring, the Caretaker. Call Me a Star broke well, but is back running in 5th. Then a True Giant on the inside. 22.3 that first quarter. Around the far turn, Vitzal on top. Looking Ready a half length behind on the outside. The Caretaker is sent up outside of them. Belleville Spring rides the rail, 3 from the front, then a True Giant. And Call Me a Star, they're into the stretch. Vitzal turning for home in front, the Caretaker. Bearing down on the outside, these 2 to the 8th pole. Vitzal and the Caretaker. Belleville Spring is back running in 3rd. And now the Caretaker to the front, starting to pull away from Vitzal. Then comes Belleville Spring, followed by Call Me a Star. The Caretaker took care of business here. Won it by 2.5 lengths over Vitzal. And then it was Call Me a Star in Belleville Spring in 103.99.
The Caretaker, Kieran McLaughlin, we showed you right before they broke from the gate. He picks up the win. Luis Saez riding this son of Speightstown to victory.
I guess the Caretaker found out last time he kind of liked winning. So today he was able to rate and get the job done. And a good call by Tom Amoss with Vitzal, who was the speed and ran very well at a big price to be second.
Yeah, for a second I thought Vitzal was actually going to hang on to win it all. But the Caretaker, and we kind of mentioned this, he probably had some of the better races under his in his career, kind of facing this level of competition. He found confidence here today, guys.
He did indeed. I think the disappointment was the 9, Call Me a Star. Didn't return that form back to New York from Pennsylvania. And a True Giant who broke well, got sawed off going into the first turn, really lost all chance at that point. He's maybe one to try for next time.
I think Andy hit the nail on the head. I think the Caretaker actually liked winning by a lot of lengths, and he's like, you know what, this is fun, beating my opponents by more than 3 lengths instead of running second. And he stopped the clock in a pretty fast little time here, just a shade under 104.
The Caretaker, 3rd victory, 16 career starts. Whenever races are taken off the turf, you got to pay attention to those main track only entrants. And Tom, good call. Vitzal does run a good one in here, but the Caretaker bets of the bunch. 1A, 2, 9, and 6. The Caretaker winds up second choice here on the board in this 4th race. The De La Rose, our first stakes race of the afternoon. That is coming up next. We'll set the stage for that when we return on Saratoga Live.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Visit Rivers Casino and Resort, upstate New York's ultimate entertainment destination with live table game action and the hottest new slots paying out millions. Book your luxury waterfront room or suite at upstate New York's premier resort, the Landing Hotel at Rivers Casino and Resort.
Success starts at Saratoga. The Saratoga Selected Yearling Sale has established a reputation for high quality and high performance. Recent graduates include Grade 1 winners Avenge, Bolt d'Oro, and Moonshine Memories, and 2017 Breeders' Cup champions Battle of Midway, Stormy Liberal, and Rushing Fall. The nation's #1 sale by percentage of Grade 1 winners, the Fasig-Tipton Saratoga Sale, August 6th and 7th.
We found Breeders' Cup champion Rushing Fall at Saratoga. Where will you be?
They're on. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with NYRA Bets. Rushes out of there to take the lead. It's easy on your computer or NyraBets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Gonna turn with a link to the half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NyraBets.com.
Welcome back to Saratoga Live here in a joyous and sunny winner's circle with Kieran McLaughlin, trainer of the Caretaker, for your second win on the card. And Kieran, you're heating up and heating up fast.
Yeah, it's warm out, but it was great. Two excellent main track only entries that worked out well. Sometimes they don't, but today they worked out great.
Now, the Caretaker, he had some of his own troubles over the wintertime, and last time he really put everything together, got the right kind of trip. Now it looks as though he likes finding his way to the winner's circle.
Yeah, Louis Saez has rode him well. Our team has done a great job, Joe Lee and Stu and everybody. So he rode him well today because we thought he might not be on the lead this time. Last time he was on the lead going 7, but it worked out perfect trip today, and I'm happy for the Bromans and everybody, so it was a great win.
Well, Kieran, I think you're, 40% for the meet, so keep up the great work.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, Greg, as we said, it's hot down here, but even hotter next to that guy.
Yeah, Kieran McLaughlin has really started to heat up and reel off some wins here over the last few days of the meets. Picks up another one here with the Caretaker. Main track only entrant, $5.30 for the victory, and another healthy pick 3.
Yeah, congratulations, Son of Spice down at the AP Indy Mare safety net for Mr. and Mrs. Broman. Congratulations, now 3 for 16 lifetime.
Our first stakes race of the afternoon here on Whitney Day is next. It is 1 mile over the inner turf. Turf condition is soft, and this is the De La Rose. And right now it is Precious State's debut for trainer Chad Brown, who is favored on the board. She's been facing top-level competition over in France and Great Britain. And we also have the defending champ returning in Thundering Sky.
You turned French there for a good second and a half, and
I
it was
tried.
well done. Uni is your second choice right now for Chad Brown, and this is the kind of horse that has a ton of try. This is a good race, Tom.
No, it's a very good race. I think Chad Brown holds all the cards in this one. Question is, which one?
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit about that. I have an idea.
Stay tuned for that ahead. Of course, Michael Dubb, part owner of Uni. He had a nice win at the meet, coaching Club American Oaks with Monomoy Girl. We'll hear more about Michael Dubb when we come back.
Switches back to the outside. Exaggerator down to the 16th pole, but Exaggerator has turned the tables. He has won the Preakness. Nice has won the Travers over American Fang. Irish War Cry has won the Wood Memorial. Alice Ellis. Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and he's gonna do it as the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Della Rose on the outside is third. Then Neil Froze on the end. Sweet Maid. Ropey Rose. Rose on the outside is third. Then Neil Froze on the end. Sweet Maid. Ropey Rose leads the way by a length. Della Rose gaining on the outside. Della Rose puts ahead in front. Ropey Rose under the whip is second, coming on again. Those two will race to the wire, but Della Rose now draws clear. It's Della Rose in front.
Winning the 1981 Diana from De La Rose, voted the 1981 Eclipse Award for Outstanding Turf Female.
And that she was. She could do it. Andy was around for that.
Race named in her honor coming up, and we got a really good rendition, Tom, of this race coming up here. Chad Brown, of course, whenever you talk about fillies and mares on the turf and stakes, especially here at Saratoga, he seems to hold a strong hand. He's got two in here. The question is, which one do you go with?
So, you know, to that, I think you look at the board for the reason that these two horses, Uni the 1 and the 5-horse, Perchuse, I'm going to call it that, they seem like they may be working on the same day at the same distances. So, to me, when you look at those work patterns of these two horses and see that they're very similar, it tells me they're working together. So I like looking at the board and seeing what the clockers are telling us based on those works. And if my assumption's correct, they're telling you the 5-horse is better than the 1-horse.
We're going to go through this entire field coming up here in just a moment. Of course, owner Michael Dubb, he had a huge win in the meet. We told you, the Coaching Club American Oaks with Monomoy Girl. He builds homes all over the state of New York. He's perennially a leading owner on the NYRA circuit. But a project closest to his heart, probably what he did for backstretch workers at Belmont Park.
It's close. A dandelion.
Terrifying. No, it's a daffodil.
No, it's a dandelion. And dandelions grow in the grass. It's considered a weed. Okay, guys, have a great day. It's a dandelion. People ask me, you know, what's been your greatest moment in horse racing, and what's your greatest win? And I don't hesitate. The Belmont Child Care Association is the greatest thing I've been involved in. And it's not me, it's we. I mean, you know, this is a team effort. Jerry said, you know, the kids at the track, of the people who work there, they're sleeping in cars, they're left unattended, there's nobody to care for them. It would be a great idea to build a daycare center. You know, Jerry, I'm a builder. I've always wanted to do something for kids. I'll do it. And I always thought I would build a daycare center and ride off into the sunset. But here I am, addicted to horses and addicted to the daycare center. You know, picture going into school and you have a problem with, you know, understanding what the teacher says. So we eliminate that. And now you're going into school and you're actually ahead of what the teacher is teaching. Think of the confidence it instills. So we put the children in such a great position to excel, and they do. And it's great. And the parents have complete peace of mind. Not only are the kids being cared for, but they're given such a strong foundation and such great love and affection. And, you know, when they come out of here, they're really ready for preschool, and they get into preschool and they excel. You know, it's like having a strong foundation on your house. And they don't necessarily go away at pre-K. They come back for after-school programs. They come back and do volunteer work. They come back and help out. So the pleasure of watching these children, you know, grow up and be successful and be good people is just, you know, enormous, because we know that it all begins with the foundation, and that's what we do. It's the greatest gift. I mean, if you said to me, win the Kentucky Derby or this, I would choose this. So that's how I feel about it. Now, I'd like to do both, but that's a different story.
Located on the grounds, Belmont Park, that Anna House, it is the crown jewel of the Belmont Child Care Association programs, and has really helped transform the lives of backstretch workers taking care of their children, opening at pre-dawn, often the only option they would have to take care of their children. Of course, Michael Dubb, he's had a lot of good ones over the years, and Monomoy Girl right at the top of that list. She has been something special. We saw her with that lights-out performance in the Coaching Club American Oaks. And Uni, of course, her 2018 debut, pretty good as well at Aqueduct on the turf.
Listen, this is a hard-trying filly, and I really feel like whenever time you watch her run, the first couple times, at least the third time in the Sands Point, looked like she was dead at the top of the lane. And when Irad Ortiz hit her right-handed, she really takes off. She responds to the whip, and she responds to her rider. And I think, you know, only one race since October worries you a tiny bit, but the Chad's so dangerous at this move.
Oh, yeah, he knows what to do.
Yeah.
He knows how to train this kind of horse, knows how to take a horse that he spots periodically, doesn't have a lot of races in the course of a year, but he gets them there. In that last race, in the Plenty of Grace, she really quickened nicely to the lead. But, you know, once she got there, it wasn't like she drew off from the rest.
Yes.
They kind of hung with her a little bit. So she's got to be careful of that.
Meanwhile, Chad Brown has a Group 1 winner as well. She won at Deauville in Group 1 company on a soft turf, and guess what she just happens to get today? Soft going over the grass.
I'll let you take this one. Here's my worry about the 5. Okay, listen, I know you like this horse a little bit, Tom, because this horse got devastating turn of foot. The thing that I worry the most, and I know Andy likes this horse, and I think if she gets out of the gate, she's much the best in here. But I see Dwelt at the start over in Europe, and that's bad business when it comes over here, because they usually break slow anyway.
So she hasn't run in over a year. And the race you're looking at in her past performance are past tense, but really past tense, right? But man, oh man, can she fly at the end of the race. So if she's in position at the head of the lane, I don't care that it's been more than a year since the time shut off. She's training well. I like her a lot.
And if there's any trainer who can get them ready off the bench to run as good as they need to win a stakes race at Saratoga, downstairs we go to Andy and Gabby. It's Chad Brown.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a horse with precieuses. I'll work on my French accent here. Precieuses. That she won an 18-horse race in winning the French Guineas on a soft turf course at Deauville. And Chad Brown has been telling me for over a month that he is pointing to win the De La Rose with Precieuses. That makes her pretty tough in my mind.
Yeah, even considering the layoff. But we did see the stat that just disappeared off the screen. He isn't overly successful with this type of move, with horses coming off such a substantial layoff and making their North American debut.
No, I agree. Now, he has great numbers with his Europeans in Saratoga. He was 3 for 5. He's 3 for 6 after an unfortunate trip the other day. She's the one to beat, but she is off a long layoff. And I got to tell you something. I have a lot of respect for On Leave. You know, her race 2 back that we showed was very good. We'll talk about Uni. I know you like Uni more than me. I don't know if she's good enough.
That is a fair question. But I do think that she could be a filly that will get better. And I like the fact that she stays at the mile distance. Her last race was very impressive. Now, that said, you said that she shipped out west. She was scratched. Now she's coming back. She hasn't raced since April. So there are a lot of question marks, but I do think that she could be an improving type of filly in her 4-year-old season.
No, I think that's very, very fair, Gabby. She can take a step forward, but she has to, even to beat On Leave, much less Precieuses. Maggie Wolfendale is in paddock for a paddock report brought to you by Hillendale as we head out.
Andy, I don't blame you because I'm probably going to butcher that name as well. But let's check in with the easier, much easier Chad Brown pronunciation of a name, and that is number 1, Uni. Only have to worry about 3 letters for this filly, and 3 letters, short name. She's a short filly. She's tiny, on the tinier side. But I will say, actually, coming back, dating back to a layoff to mid-April, I like her more than I did that day. To me, she looks stronger behind the saddle, which from my perspective, has always been my problem with her. And I think she looks fantastic here. I love the mile. I love the fact that there's some juice in the ground because I think she appreciates or should appreciate a turf course that has some give. So I like what I'm seeing from Uni. As we'll take a look at number 5, Precious, who will be getting that Lasix. Now, I thought that Paul and Tom brought up an interesting point about her not breaking. The other fact of the matter is, and if this is a habit of hers, and obviously we're speculating here, but if she is dwelling at the start in her European races, they don't hit the ground running quite as quickly as they do over here. So that's even going to put more of a gap possibly in her with the rest of the field. Maybe she won't show that at all, and I'm sure Chad has her as ready as he possibly can, but you still just never know what's going to happen there. She looks extremely fit coming back here. The only thing is, and I know she's been successful going this distance and shorter, she almost looks like one of those European fillies that should be running longer. We'll see how this works out with her, but I like what I'm seeing as far as her preparedness is concerned. Then number 4, Pas de Souci, going from Chad Brown to his former assistant in Jorge Abreu. Pas de Souci is a filly that is now 3rd off the layoff, and finally that kind of nervous energy, that pre-race kind of jitters has totally subsided. She's so much more relaxed, oddly, here at Saratoga than what she was at Belmont, and she looks fantastic. Very fit here overall, and I just feel like she's primed and ready for this effort here. Andy, do you have any feelings about Pas de Souci?
I think Pas de Souci is a really nice horse. I mean, I have no knock on her at all. I think she's run well in a recent. I think Jorge Abreu's done a good job with her. I just think she's been very tough.
She is, but the interesting thing about her form, and this is when she was previously trained by Chad Brown, is that she really did like a little bit of give in the ground when she was on it here at Saratoga last year. So I think that bodes well for her. On top of that, Pas de Souci means no worries. I thought it was a very cleverly named mare because she's by footsteps in the sand.
That's nice. I like that.
Right?
Very good. Very good. I like that a lot. It's a lot of names near that are tough to pronounce. And by the way, Tom's right. I was here when Della Rose won the Diana, and she was trained by the great Woody Stevens as well.
She is getting a big class test, but she has been very consistent as we take a look at the 7 on leave. She is who I prefer, Andy. And, you know, her race last time out, she was beaten just over a length behind some of the top fillies and mares in the entire country. Her race 2 starts back. I thought she handled the turf that day, but she also moved a touch too soon to try to take it to the winner in Proctor's Ledge. On top of that, where's the pace in here?
Well, I mean, that's a reasonable question. Maybe Thundering Sky will try to go out and be aggressive on the outside with Rajiv Mirage, and that's always a good question. Listen, I think if Precious doesn't run her race, that On Leave is clearly the likeliest winner. I prefer to Uni. She's an extremely talented filly, Greg.
Yes, she is, and it looks like she took a step forward in her 4-year-old debut over at Aqueduct, but this is a very good field. This is the filly, or mare now, I should say, who was favored in this race last year On Leave, and she's going to be tough right back.
She'll be tough. She likes a going like this, a little cut in the ground, as we like to say, but I've seen her a number of times come to the head of the stretch loaded, and she'll make a move, and all of a sudden there'll be one that catch her. Now, they've been good horses. Proctor's Ledge, Cambodia, they're both very, very good. But in both those races, On Leave looked like the absolute winner at the 8th pole.
Yeah, even in last year's version, it looked like she was going to go by Thundering Sky, and Thundering Sky was able to hold her off. But she does bring a good race each time. She's got 4 races here at Saratoga, a win, and 2 seconds. So that's something to be said for. Thundering Sky does have a win over the course, and even the 4 does, you know, and sometimes that gets dismissed.
2-1 favorite, Precious.
It's a tough horse.
I feel like it's getting worse. But remember, we saw Chad Brown with the first-time state starter the other day. Had a tough trip, but again, getting out of the gate is an issue. You brought that up.
It's an issue, yeah. But, I mean, listen, the issue is not the company that she was keeping in 2017. The issue is the gate and the layoff, but Chad Brown usually can conquer both of those.
Group 1 winner at the highest level overseas. Can she transfer that form here in the States debut? We're going to find out here in the De La Rose coming up. 15th running of this race ahead. And a great crowd on hand for one of the truly special days here all season long at Saratoga. Whitney Day, not quite anything like it. Whitney Day, Travers Day, the days you want to come to this historic racetrack. Here is Uni for trainer Chad Brown and Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard.
We haven't seen her in nearly 4 months since a promising 4-year-old debut. She's talented. This is a tough spot.
And we just saw Kieran McLaughlin win the last race. He will send out 4-year-old filly Lido. Luis Saez rides.
She has really improved as a 4-year-old with 2 good performances, 2 and 3 back, but her last performance was uncharacteristically poor.
Pas de Souci, sent out by Jorge Abreu and Jose Lezcano aboard.
One of the few mares in here who I think actually has a little bit of positional speed. She does get a class test today, though.
Précieux's for Chad Brown with Javier Castellano, again, her States debut.
Over 13 months since her last race. She gets Lasix for a stateside debut. A good performance from her, maybe too tough for this field.
On leave, a win in 2 seconds and 4 tries here on the turf at Saratoga for Shug McGahee.
She is a proven commodity. She shows up against the best filly milers, and as Gabby pointed out, she probably handles this surface with the going soft.
Mark Casse sends out Bletchley with John Velasquez.
She has races at 1 1/16, 1 1/1 1/4. I actually thought one of her most impressive races was at the mile.
And the defending champ in this race, but she got a perfect rail trip to get that win. Thundering Sky, a 2014 Fasig-Tipton August sale graduate for George Weaver.
And she hasn't had as good recent form lately, and this may be a much tougher field than last year.
10-1 on the board on Thundering Sky. Rajiv Mirage, he was aboard for that win last year. He is back aboard today. Get signed up, started, play along. Go to NowRaBets.com. $200 new member bonus if you use the promo code Saratoga Live. You can bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Again, go to NowRaBets.com or download the NYRA app. We're going to take a break here on Saratoga Live. When we return, our first stakes action of the afternoon. Précieux, her States debut for Chad Brown. Can the Group 1 winner collect a stakes victory in her U.S. debut? We'll find out next.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're on. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with NYRA
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or NYRA app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Soft got a turn with a link to the half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200.
A dramatic finish.
Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NYRABets.com.
Back on Saratoga Live, this was the De La Rose last year. Look at the fence. The one horse getting the perfect trip. Rajiv Mirage saving all the ground. It looked this way all around the racetrack. On Leave starting to make a run, but Thundering Sky would hold that one off and get the job done.
Yeah, this was really a great race and a phenomenal ride. You see everybody coming after the winner that day, Thundering Sky. Now, will he be able to get that trip? I don't know. This year from the 9-hole, we'll see what happens. But, you know, he's got some races like you just saw that can win this race. His last race that he'd run against On Leave, it was not good. His last 2 races have been good, so he needs to turn around his form.
Yeah, look, we better talk about pace in this race because with the scratch of the 2 well acquainted, this race lacks a pace setter. So, you know, we've got a heavy favorite or a 9-5 favorite in the 5-horse who needs pace up front. Where does it come from? I think the advantage goes to the 7-horse On Leave that's being bet down to 2-1. That's a horse that can sit close. This is the type of race when there's nobody that wants to have the front end where a horse can control things on the front end and go all the way On Leave. Big chance to do that if she doesn't have any company up front.
9-5 favorite remains the state's debuter for trainer Chad Brown. We're going to check in now with Maggie Wolfendale on horseback.
Thanks, Greg. And let's talk a little bit about warm-ups out here, as I did not get to touch on Leave in the paddock. And, you know, she got your standard warm-up beneath Jose Ortiz. Stayed with the pony, nice canter to the backside, trotted back towards the start here overall, and she looks great. She's just an all-out professional. She shows up every time, and look, it makes a lot of sense if you're not liking your current favorite. But as far as very light warm-ups, that is the case for number 4, Pas de Souci, as well as Thundering Sky here. Thundering Sky hasn't even gotten out of walk, but Pas de Souci, she's been trying to jog, but Connection's trying to keep her, I think, as quiet as possible. She's actually staying away from most of the crowd because, as I said in the paddock, she does have the propensity to get really wound up. And I think they are doing the right thing by keeping her away from the rest of the horses here and just kind of easing her nerves a little bit. Hopefully that does pay off, as we'll check in with number 5, Precious in here, as Javier Castellano's aboard. He broke her away from the pony, said, let's get your feet up underneath of you, and gave her a good warm-up, as did Irad with Uni. Now, my question is, I throw it back to especially Tom and Paulie here as a professional athlete and as a trainer. We saw Javier Castellano not give one of Chad Brown and Peter Brandt's horses a good ride a couple days ago here. Is that in the back of their mind? Is there more pressure on him to get this one right?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, when you're thinking of the connections now, you got a horse that was supposed to win. He went up the inside. You might see Uni 5 or 6 wide in here. That's the way he usually runs from way back in the pack. But also, I think that may have been a different ball game that day because that horse was a heavier favorite, where you have Uni here at 3-1.
I think it's a plus to have Castellano on the horse. Look, he may have not have ridden the best race. It's actually not a race I saw, so I'm not going to comment on that, other than to say if he's being called out for it, he's a pro, and he wants nothing more than to win for these connections. He'll ride a good race today.
No, I apologize. I was talking about the wrong horse. But, yeah, I mean, do you take chances here, Andy, at all? If you have the best horse, you just circle horses here today?
Well, I don't know. You know, it's hard. I can't really answer it, Paul. You know, it's hard. Obviously, you know, it's tough that you want to give the best ride you can. I want to ask you guys a quick question, and maybe Gabby get in this as well. Here's a possible speed. You know, Maggie was suggesting Thundering Sky not getting much of a workout. Could Kieran McLaughlin and Luis Saez be thinking with Lido? Why don't we send him? Is he a potential speed at least in here?
Well, we talk about it all the time, and one of the most aggressive riders in this colony up here is Luis Saez. So, you know, I would not be surprised if this filly is on the lead because she does have natural speed to put herself in this position.
You know, I'm going to go back on a Leave in their race at the Churchill Distaff on Derby weekend, where the turf course was really, really soft, and how well-placed and close to the front she was in a big field of 11. I think this is her race to make the lead if she cares to.
You know, her mama was a runner. Cocoa Beach could run a little bit, and she had tactical speed, so I'm wondering if they do employ that in here. This is a lot of questions to be answered in here because there's a lot of quality fillies and mares.
And by the way, the horse these guys were all talking about from the other day with Chad Brown that was on the moon again, it was making her state's debut. Yeah. You got a 4-time Eclipse Award-winning rider who was on board and just happened to make maybe the wrong decision, but they got to make instantaneous decisions. I think he'll be just fine on board.
I've seen Tiger Woods make a bad putt every once in a great while.
Yeah. Loading up for the De La Rose, and it is Précieux's States debut, the Group 1 winner at Deauville in France. Stepping into the gate, can she win first time out here in America? We're going to find out right now. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of horse racing's Triple Crown for the call, Larry Colmus.
Last couple moving into line here. Bletchley with John Velasquez taking her spot in the starting gate. Thundering Sky will be the last one. 3-2 currently on the favorite Précieuse. And they're all in line. They're off in the Fasig Tipton De La Rose, and it is Pas de Souci who had the best beginning. On leave, Bletchley and Thundering Sky are right behind her, and then Précieuse outside of Lido. Uni is last early on as they make their way into that clubhouse turn. Pas de Souci on top and leading it by 3/4 of a length over Thundering Sky, and on leave as they go through that opening quarter mile. And then right behind them is Lido running in fourth inside of Bletchley onto the backstretch. And behind them is Précieuse. 25.5 was the quarter over the soft going. Uni is the trailer, and Uni's about 8 lengths off the lead. So they continue up the backstretch. Jose Lezcano and Pas de Souci lead the way with Thundering Sky on the outside of On Leave, heads apart second and third. And then Lido fourth on the inside of Bletchley up the backstretch. Pas de Souci is outside of them, kept 3 deep, and the trailer is Uni. They continue through a 50.83 half mile and race for the far turn. Pas de Souci on top. The leader by a length over Thundering Sky. On Leave continues to save ground into the turn. And then it's Bletchley, Lido. Précieuse is getting going now. She's going to take that overland route here, but is really kicking it in, and so too Uni, who's following her and making a bold 6-wide move at the top of the stretch. Pas de Souci in front. Thundering Sky, Précieuse on the scene with Lido. Uni storming down the center. Here's Précieuse. Here's Uni. These two exploding from the back of the pack. Précieuse and Uni. Précieuse, Uni on the outside. Précieuse and Uni. Uni and Précieuse coming down to the line. These two right to the finish, and Uni did it. Uni ran down Précieuse. The stablemates were 1-2 on the wire in the Fasig Tipton De La Rose.
Monster closing efforts from the duo from the Chad Brown barn. It is Uni who gets the win in the De La Rose.
Yeah, just pay attention to the far left part of your screen. Look at the 1 and 5, both Chad Brown horses starting to unleash their rallies. And Tom, I looked over to you. You said the 5 was loaded. I said the 1 was loaded. This is going to be a horse race, and what a horse race it turned out to be.
It did indeed. Paul, you pointed out that the 5 Précieuse switched back to her inside lead late in the race. Yeah. Oftentimes, horses do that because they're trying so doggone hard that they just end up falling on another lead late in the race. But what a horse race.
That was something to watch here, and the 2 Chad Browns making their presence felt, and with wide trip for Précieuse as well around that turn. How much ground did she lose there?
She didn't lose as much as the 1 Uni.
No, this was a spectacular performance. We saw both of these fillies have to take the overland route there at the quarter pole, and a devastating turn of foot from both of them. But Uni, how impressive was she today? I mean, she just looks like a different animal this year.
Yeah, she really ran very well. Obviously, they both took the soft ground. You'd have to think On Leave didn't take to it, but terrific performances by both. And it's almost like the last move turned out to be the right one, as these horses came from second to last and last to run 1-2.
Dan, excuse me, I meant the 1 Uni, who is so wide around that turn.
Yeah.
That was impressive to watch if we get another look at it. But yeah, 5-2 on Uni. She is a perfect 2 for 2 now in her 4-year-old campaign. 1-5-4-7. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
Oh, sorry. Okay, here with Irad Ortiz aboard Uni, and Irad, she didn't mind the soft turf. She didn't mind a slowish pace in front of her. What were you thinking going down the backside when you were dead last?
She hit the doors pretty bad out of the gate, so I don't want to rush her. After that, you go to plan B. Just let him be there, let him saddle, let him relax, and come running on the end. If you get there, and she did.
And this is you've been aboard her in all of her stateside starts, your 3rd win with her overall. She was ready today coming back off a layoff.
Yeah, she was. I mean, before last year when she got here, we have only one problem. She don't break that good. Last time she broke good, she ran 133 in Aqueduct, 1 mile flat. So try to bring it back. She was a little See, he gives it some time, he bring it back to the mile. Look like she really like it, and she showed that she's a nice filly.
She showed that she also likes the soft turf. Irad, congratulations here with Uni. You two are quite a pair.
Thank you.
All right, Greg, it looks as...
Cumin, Sol, love you.
Yes, Sol Cumin, very good buddies with Irad Ortiz. And Greg, this morning I saw Irad and he said, we're going to do an interview later. I guess this is what he meant with Uni here in the De La Rose.
Sol Cumin, of course, ahead of Plains Partners. 7 or 8 wide around that turn for Uni on this soft going and able to finish like that.
Yeah, there was not a lot of pace going on. These were by far the 2 best fillies, and Chad Brown runs 1, 2, and maybe an 8th, considering Jorge Abreu was his assistant. That horse ran 3rd. So it just seems like he just wins these races.
He does. And how about on the soft turf, and even with the slow pace, they came home in 24 on this turf course. These are 2 very good fillies. You're going to see them in November. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. And I have to point out also, I can't tell you the last time a rider's been interviewed after a race and gone back in time and said, how about the time this horse ran at Aqueduct? He's right on the money. This horse did indeed run 133 and change at Aqueduct. That's a student of the game in Irad Ortiz.
These Ortiz brothers, both of them, Irad on the win here and Jose as well. They work at their craft, and so does that man right there. That is a future Hall of Famer, no doubt. Chad Brown runs 1-2 here in the De La Rose, and he has 2 very special fillies that could be a factor in this division the rest of the year. Uni gets the job done in the De La Rose. And he just has so much depth, especially in this division with his fillies and mares on the turf.
Well, he does. And, you know, when we were mentioning this filly in the postbred, I said the want that she has. She was never really meant to be much. He was 11-1. And Chad Brown, first time out, he stuck her in the Belmont Oaks Invitational, which is a tough spot. She was under 8-1. She got beat by her stablemate. But she is progressing, and she has so much want. More than ready, the Dancili mare unaided. 5 for 12 lifetime. Never runs a bad race. You got to love those kind of horses that just keep on coming.
Yeah, look, championships are decided in November at the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah.
These 2 will be a part of that.
Sensational performance from those 2. That was fun to watch. These 2 stablemates throwing down in the stretch to the wire. In the end, it was Uni who was best, and your leading rider at the meet, Irad Ortiz Jr., collecting another victory here for the meet's leading trainer, Chad Brown. When we come back, that man right there will make the case for the greatest season in the history of this sport back in 1968.
An undefeated graded stakes winner on the track, Algorithms was the nation's #1 sire of 2-year-olds in 2017 by percentage of winners. His top runners include multiple graded stakes performer Rich Mommy, winner of the Grade 3 Sugar Swirl, multiple stakes winner and graded stakes performer Recruiting Ready, and stakes winners Taylor Spirit, He Hate Me, and Sunset Ridge. In the ring, his yearlings have brought prices up to $220,000. Algorithms, standing at Clayton Farm.
How do New York breds perform? They win in world-class company. From Grade 1 races in Dubai, where New York sired New York bred Mind Your Biscuits won the Golden Shaheen for a 2nd time, to Belmont adding to his status as the richest New York bred with a close 2nd in the Met Mile. The Belmont Festival saw 2 more New York breds become millionaires. 4-star Crook in the New York Stakes and world record setter Disco Partner with a repeat victory in the Jaipur. New York breds, get with the program.
Back on Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2 and other regional networks across the country. Big Truck Day going on today at the Children's Museum. It's their primary fundraiser. Proceeds allow the museum to offer quality programs and learning opportunities for families throughout the community. It features trucks of all shapes and sizes for children to tour and tons of fun activities for the entire family. So much to do, not just here at the racetrack, but all around town in Saratoga Springs. Well, 1968, however great you may or may not realize that year was for Dr. Fager, the man you're about to meet has made it his personal mission to prove it was the greatest year of any horse in any year in the history of this sport.
Sports is the national narcotic. And if some crazy vendor got on a national show and proved beyond any reasonable doubt there was nothing like this, I think it would have an effect.
Richard Aller wants to convince you and anyone who will listen that Dr. Fager's 1968 championship season is the greatest in the history of horse racing.
Okay.
And there goes Dr. Fager.
The fastest horse of all time, able to accelerate quarter-mile splits faster than any horse that ever raced. He could accelerate a quarter-mile split 7 lengths faster than Secretariat.
It's Dr. Fager in front by 3/4 of a
Breaking
length.
the 130-pound jinx with apparent ease, Dr. Fager, number 9, flew in on Thursday, raced Saturday, and left Sunday.
The only horse ever to be Horse of the Year, Handicap Horse of the Year, Sprinter of the Year, and Grass Horse of the Year.
But Dr. Fager coming on strongly. He goes now to the front by a head.
Beating 2 Horses of the Year, carrying to less than 130, as much as 139. Got faster as he carried more weight, defying the laws of physics. He could sprint, he could come home, he could come around horses. He did it all, but he didn't do it in the Triple Crown, so he'll never get his just due. Now, let's take a look at American Pharoah. You don't evaluate a horse on one race. You evaluate him on a series of races. So I began to root for him and evaluate him. And I didn't know quite what he was in 1968. And I began to get enraged at the distortions that were made. Let me historically define that. Dr. Fager ran in 1968. Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy were assassinated. Vietnam War protests. Hey, hey, LBJ, how many kids did you kill today? Race riots all over the country. A riot at the Democratic National Convention. A protest at the Olympics in Mexico City. The most tumultuous year in 20th century history. And he was not on national television. Secretariat ran in 1973. The Triple Crown was on national television.
I'm Jack Whitaker, and welcome to the 105th running of the Belmont Stakes.
Horse racing was consumed by television. And so Secretariat became visibly a shrine. And then when I began to study everything and all the details, and I have a great deal of respect for Secretariat, I realized a terrible historical mistake had been made. Dr. Fager got tested every way imaginable. You only know how good a horse is when they're in a fist fight, head and head with a top horse. It didn't matter anywhere, any place, any time, any conditions, any weight, quality of competition. Dr. Fager's there every time. When the legend places the truth, print the legend. That's what my book is about.
After 3 decades of banging Dr. Fager's drum, Aller hasn't lost his bite when illustrating why Dr. Fager in 1968 ran a campaign like no other.
All you have to do is sit people down and show the facts. It's absolutely irrefutable. And by the way, I don't say that Dr. Fager was the greatest horse of all time. All I said was one season.
100 yards to come, and Dr. Fager is all by himself. 8, 9, Dr. Fager by about 10 lengths. Wow, this is a race. And ladies and gentlemen, may we draw your attention to the running time. The mile in 1:32 and 1, which is a new world record.
Well, it's a hard argument to refute. At the end of that year, Dr. Fager became the only horse in history to win 4 championships in a single year. Along the way, he defeated 2 horses who would become Horse of the Year and 3 future Hall of Famers, all while carrying 130 pounds or more.
Pretty amazing. From 7 furlongs to a mile and a quarter, turf to everything else. Yeah, it equates to almost like $2.4 million in winnings, in earnings if you equated it to this year. I mean, got a pretty good case.
Oh, yeah. Look, I've said for years that I thought Spectacular Bid was the very best horse and never got as much due as he should have gotten. But after watching that piece, I've changed my mind. Dr. Fager, I'm a fan.
Richard Aller doing his part. 1968 earnings equated to 2018. Look at that, $2.2 million is what he would have earned this year if he had that same kind of season. He did it in every kind of way possible. Sprinting, even had a win on the turf, toted an insane amount of weight, and set the new world record for a mile on dirt, which still stands to this day. Just simply incredible. He also captured the Whitney in 1968, carrying 18 pounds more than the second and third place finishers, and he just missed a track record by 3/5 of a second, toting 132 pounds.
I mean, there'd be a riot in the racing office if one of the trainers was given 18 pounds more than all the rest of the participants in the race. They don't do handicapping like they used to do when they handicap these horses and try to put weight on them. Back in the day, they put some weight on these guys, and they took it, and they ran.
You know you're pretty good when the guy in second place is look under his arm just to hold, make sure he can hold second.
Suburban and Whitney winners in the same year since 1968. Lemon Drop Kid was able to do it in excess of 91, and Invasor can diversify, join that list. He was sensational in the Suburban. He's likely going to have company up front, though, this afternoon in the Whitney. We'll talk Diversify in the Whitney ahead. A New York bred taking center stage in one of the premier races of this meet. We'll be back with more right after this.
They're on. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Grade 1 winner Data Link by world-renowned sire Warfront. Data Link scored in the prestigious Grade 1 Makers 46 mile at Keeneland, then set a new course record in the Grade 2 Monmouth Stakes. His runners include stakes winner Stardoza, along with a growing list of talented young runners. At public auction, his yearlings have sold up to $200,000. Data Link, standing at Cleveland Park.
Success starts at Saratoga. The Saratoga Selected Yearling Sale has established a reputation for high quality and high performance. Recent graduates include Grade 1 winners Avenge, Bolt d'Oro, and Moonshine Memories, and 2017 Breeders' Cup champions Battle of Midway, Stormy Liberal, and Rushing Fall. The nation's #1 sale by percentage of Grade 1 winners, the Fasig-Tipton Saratoga Sale, August 6th and 7th.
We found Breeders' Cup champion Rushing Fall at Saratoga. Where will you be?
We're back on Saratoga Live and Fox Sports 2 and other regional networks across the country. Right across the street from this historic racetrack, the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame. They just had the Hall of Fame inductions the other day on Friday, and it's an experience you must take in if you make it to the racetrack today. The community outreach booth here at the track hosting the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame, and tours given most race days by great track announcer who was here in New York for so many years, Tom Durkin.
Yeah, I got to speak to Tom in the Whitney Drive. Really loves what he does, and he just puts on a tremendous tour. If you have not been there, it's tremendous. You can take pictures, a lot of picture opportunities too with starting gates and obviously monuments of different horses.
Race 6. This starts the late pick 4 on today's card here on Whitney Day. Maiden special weight at 7/8 of a mile. Right now, Hirsch, the 5-2 favorite, but Business Cycle for Chad Brown. He faced a pretty good horse last time out named Westwood.
A little surprised that Hirsch is our favorite. I do think he's got a big chance here, but bet down to 5-2 surprises me. Business Cycle, look, this is a 5-year-old coming off a layoff. The older horses get, the harder it is to bring them back and have them at their very best off the bench. I'm not saying he won't run good, the 5-horse Business Cycle. I just don't know if he's going to get the win.
Yeah, and I think he's a Ricky Bobby horse. And what I mean about that, he's either first or last in here. He really is. And that's why I'm going to single him. And the reason why is, you know, the Clairvich stables and those guys, they'll drop their horses. They got plenty of horses. And for this horse to still be around at 5, and I look at that second work, 1 out of 174, I'd have to believe the other 173, there was a quality racehorse somewhere in there. So I think he might be ready. And I'm with Tom. I can see it going the other way. So I'm going to pin my hopes on him early. Spread throughout.
The 5 Business Cycle.
Yes.
Okay, so that's where Paul's going, and that horse has just become the favorite. Tom Amoss, you're going where?
Well, there was one other horse that worked just as fast that day as the 5 Business Cycle, and that's his stablemate. Also from the gate, probably worked right alongside of him, the one horse, Al Katam. I've used him in my ticket. I like experience in these kind of races. I have the 4 Hirsch, who comes off a trouble trip, and I did not want to leave out the bottom horse, Illudaire. This is a horse that might possibly be the speed of the race, and I think gives a big, strong chance from that outside post position. In the next race, another maiden race, I happened to catch the 4 Dylan Rocks worked from the gate last week, and it was impressive. So I threw him in my ticket along with a few others. I spread out in the test. Here's the deal. Separation of powers is either much the best or it's a wide open race. So I spread out in that spot. And then in the Whitney, I narrowed it down to 2 horses. A horse that ran great last time, Diversify, and a horse that can pick up the pieces if the pace collapses, which it very well may, Good Samaritan.
We're going to have to go back to your test in just a little bit. I think there's some varying opinions on that race. A little bit different from what Tom Amoss is thinking, but interesting take. It's a wide open group. A lot of ways to go in here. Time for a paddock report right now for a race that kicks off the pick 4. Let's check in with Maggie Wolfendale. It's brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Byron for $15,000.
Thanks, Greg. And we'll check in with both of Chad Brown's runners coming back off their respective layoffs, and it looks as though they've been preparing for this start back together, as you guys were just saying. We'll begin with the 3-year-old, that is Al Katam. And the thing I was concerned about is that, you know, Chad had intent to kind of run this horse over a route of ground in his 2-year-old season, because there aren't many of those races, and it did seem as though the longer he went, the better he'd become, because he did not have that much early speed. I will say that coming back here, he is a lot more forward and on the muscle, at least in the paddock. Now, as far as him and Business Cycle working together, I did catch their last breeze, which was just a maintenance 5/8, so very controlled and steady work. But I did like the way that Business Cycle was going. Just a little bit better than Al Katam. He's a big, good-looking horse. He looks a lot like his sire Curlin here, and he just kind of gallops along, and he looks beautiful here in the paddock. I know, it's a 5-year-old. There's little to recommend about horses only making their second start at this age, but boy, it does look as though there is some talent with this runner. Now, number 2 is Point of Humor, one of 2 first-time starters here in the mix for trainer Brian Lynch. He comes back to this race with a trio of bullet workouts. He is a point of entry. they have been more known to run on the turf, but on the bottom side, Distorted Humor. So that's where that influence comes from. And looking at him here, well, he does have a bit more of a turf of body-wise. He's fine debuting at this spot, especially going the 7/8 here. He comes in here fit, little on the green side overall as far as kind of unsure of his surroundings, screaming at the other horses here in the paddock. But at a price, he looks well prepared here for a start, at least physically. Now, Andy, this is a bit of a jigsaw puzzle. We do need your help.
I think it's a very interesting race. In Business Cycle's the horse to beat. He's simply the best horse based on his debut, where he ran behind Westwood, who won a stake not long after that, and ran against a killer field of maidens. But I do think the argument that a 5-year-old making his second career start after making his debut in November of his 4-year-old year, there are some questions.
It was a really good point that Tom Amoss brought up, and that the older that these horses get, and especially if they're lightly raced, it gets harder and harder to bring them back off of the shelf. So that is obviously a major concern, but his first race undoubtedly was impressive against a solid group.
The one Alcatam is the other horse for Chad Brown. Gabby likes this one more than I do. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a very good horse. I bet him in the Winterbrook for Kentucky Derby, genius that I am. He hasn't run since December.
Yeah, that really panned out
well. I just wonder if he's going to be the one that's going to be ready to win as much as Business Cycle. But he's got talent.
He's got a decent rail post position. He's going to need some pace in front of him, though, because he is a horse that lags behind the field. But I like him as opposed to the other Chad horse because this is logical. Yes, he took a break, but he's coming back in his 3-year-old season. They're bringing him back at 7/8. And I think that he has been working very nicely in company with the 5 Business Cycle. So we take a look at the 8, who's being a little bit hard to handle.
I like the 8 Ilya Darren here. There's 2 horses that are coming out of the 7th race, July 6th. Won very impressively by a horse named Payne that's in Chad Brown's barn. And for me, they finished a length apart, and while Hirsch finished ahead of Iludare was far, far closer to a pace that completely evaporated. In my opinion, he ran a better race that day, and tactically, as Tom pointed out, I think he'll be in a very good position, almost controlling from the outside. If somebody else wants to go, he can stalk. If not, he can wire him.
Yeah, he can do what he wants to do. Obviously, he and Hirsch both come out of the same race. You mentioned that quick pace. Overall, I mean, you and I kind of disagree. I thought that Hirsch was even more impressive, and I thought that he was a horse that could even move forward now with 7 furlongs.
Listen, both of these horses are talented, and I'm not knocking either one. They both ran well. I just feel a horse that is sitting a couple of lengths off of a pace that absolutely incinerated in here ran much better than the other horse. They were both first-time stars. There was more picking up the pieces, but I am not knocking either one of them. Both Hirsch and Iludare are horses on the come with town power.
Yeah, I completely agree. Now, Iludare, you know, he could be in that position to control, or he could be in a position to stalk from the outside. Wherever he is, it's a good and advantageous post position.
Call a post there from Sam the Bugler. A post parade coming up. You can get signed up, started, play along, and bet all these races by going to NYRABets.com. $200 new member sign-up bonus. Get that $200 in your account by using the promo code Saratoga Live. Go to NYRABets.com or download the NYRABets app. Post parade begins with Alcatam for Chad Brown with Jose Ortiz.
Yeah, he runs his races upside down. You know, he started at a mile and then a mile and 1/8. Now going to make his 2018 debut 7 furlongs. Look for him late.
10-1 on a first-time starter for Brian Lynch. Point of Humor with Luis Saez.
Yeah, not just a first-time starter, but a first-time starter with good works. You watch the board for those, see if they're being played. The answer is no.
Dark and cloudy. He got an education in his debut for trainer Todd Pletcher. John Velasquez aboard.
You know, this one's got a tremendous pedigree. He's a have to overanalyze, who was over $1 million winner in a Grade 1 stakes play. So good pedigree. If he can run to it, he's got a shot here.
We saw a son of Jimmy Creed win earlier on the show. Here's another one. Hirsch for Dermot Magner and Joel Rosario aboard.
If he breaks better today, he's a major player in this race.
Business Cycle to 5. Chad Brown as well. 2014 Fasig-Tipton October sale graduate.
Yeah, and you can argue, too. He ran so well his first amount. I get it, he's 5. He broke flat-footed that race and still almost beat Westwood. So I know there's issues, but he's the one to beat.
Nick Zito sends out Rafael, 2016 Fasig-Tipton October sale graduate with Manny Franco.
It's another first-time starter. So, again, you turn to the tote board at 21-1, not the play.
Duncastle, son of Dunkirk, 2016 Fasig-Tipton October sale graduate.
Not a bad debut for Carlo Vaccarezza on the turf, first time at Gulfstream Park, but now entering a new ball game here.
And Jimmy Durkin sends out Iludare. Irad Ortiz Jr. rides 4-1.
This horse had a good debut, and my pick to improve and win today, that first to second start can mean so much an improvement.
Chad Brown sends out the favorite. There he is, the 5 horse. He also has the 1, Al Khatam. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale for more.
Thanks, Greg. And of course, we do have to congratulate Chad on his win in the Fasig-Tipton De La Rose. Well, the winning exacta, Uni, she was just determined to get her head in front.
She was. She's a real consistent horse. Happy to have her back. She got sick last time we tried to run her in California, and thankfully she came back in good shape and was training real well. And Pursue's first time in the country for us off a very long layoff, I thought, very incredible.
She did, coming back with 2 more in this race. The 5-year-old Business Cycle favorite, good looking, obviously has some talent, but somewhat fragile.
Yeah, I mean, he's 5. He's only made that 1 start, and unfortunately just had setback after setback. And thankfully, the owner's very patient, and we kept persevering with him and rehabbing him, and he's very sound right now. He's training great, and we're so excited to get him back to the races.
How about your 3-year-old Al Khatam?
Al Khatam, you know, this horse is training well. He's another one that had a setback after we tried him in the Remsen as a maiden, which was a little bullish, and it didn't work. And he came out of the race injured. We gave him plenty of time, and the team at Shadwell did an unbelievable job rehabbing this horse. Training very well. 7/8 is probably a little short for him, but it's a good starting point.
Well, Chad, best of luck. Continued success on this day.
Thanks a lot.
All right, Greg, back to you.
Maggie, thanks. I mean, yeah, that was a very ambitious spot for Al Khatam. He put this horse in the Grade 2 Remsen as a maiden against Catholic Boy, who we could see here in the Travers later at the meet.
It didn't disgrace himself, if you think about it. And it was a good effort. He went to the sideline since then. I get that. But what, you run 4th in that kind of race in your second career start. It's a good effort.
Yeah, look, there are guys that are interviewed, trainers that are interviewed, that can give you some insight when you're looking to bet or looking to handicap. He's basically telling you that this is a get-ready race for the 1, Al Khatam. I don't think that Chad is into this horse today, and I think he's much more impressed with the 5 Business Cycle. I'll take him at his word. He's the one watching him every morning.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know if that's the case. I think that's a very good presumption on your part, Tom. And I actually myself agree with it. I never spoke to Chad about it. But I will tell you specifically, as far as Al Khatam as a horse, this is a horse that Chad was extremely high on last year.
Yeah, well, he just mentioned in the interview with Maggie that he did think that 7/8 might be a little bit short for him, and that this could be a good starting point for him in his 3-year-old season. But it just speaks to the confidence that he has in this horse, where he campaigned him last year. So maybe we could see something special from him moving forward. But you can read the tote board, and it makes sense, too. This horse is 9-2. They're betting the 5.
Well, the 5 is simply faster. I mean, the 5 ran a 90 Beyer speed figure. I mean, that's a pretty heady number. And those maidens, and they were running 90s, they consistently ran them. And as we talked about, Westwood, who beat Business Cycle, he's a stakes winner.
He is. He's a quality. He's even a graded stakes type of caliber horse. I thought both of them ran really well. I actually thought Westwood did the dirty work in that race. So as we see the 8, Illudaire, for multiple reasons. I mean, you mentioned that he was close to pace that collapsed in his debut, and I saw that too. But is there any bit of a concern that this horse can't get the 7/8 today?
Well, there's always a concern when they're doing something they've never done, but it was 6.5 furlongs, and he held fairly well considering how close was the pace. If you look at the other runners that were even on or near the pace that day, they finished significantly worse than Illudaire. So you always don't know what a horse can do until they try it, but I don't see any indication it should be a giant problem. Maybe Tom feels differently.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Andy. And I kind of watched him when he left the paddock. He looked like he was a little hot across his chest. He's settled down quite a bit, the 8, Illudaire. So I like seeing that behavior on the track after what I saw in the paddock.
Well, yeah, if you take it with a grain of salt, right, the Illudaire, you heard what Gabby said. She thought the Illudaire actually did more of the dirty work, and maybe it was the 4 that swallowed up the ground. It remains to be seen. They're both 7-2. I guess pick your poison, which one you like better. This is a difficult race because the 5 on paper looks like the horse should not be 2-1. The horse should be about 8-5, 7-5. That worries me a little bit.
Let's go to Maggie for more on the 8, Illudaire.
Just to kind of dive a little deeper into what Tom was saying about Illudaire. Illudaire was supposed to make his debut back in May. He was actually a late scratch that day in a maiden special weight field because he got loose. He's a bad actor. Since then to his debut back in July at Belmont, they schooled him and schooled him and schooled him. So it's in there for him to be a bit of a bad actor overall. But I liked what I saw from him in the paddock. It's a vast improvement from, well, 2 starts ago when he was supposed to debut to the last one to today. So there's some progression with Illudaire. Maybe he'll get the job done here today for Jimmy Jerkins, guys.
So there he is, 7-2 on the board for the second start of his career. He went head-to-head with Hirsch that first time out. And, yeah, so many times, I mean, it must happen a lot, Tom. Your best laid-out plans for horses doesn't work out, and you have to kind of go back to the drawing board with them.
Yeah, think about it. So when you're making a first start with a horse, you can't simulate the speed of a race. You're not going in your workouts quarters in 22 or 23 seconds. So when they're put into a race situation, oftentimes going those faster quarters all the way around the racetrack can take its toll on a first-time starter. It did, in my opinion, on El Udair, and the horse will get a great deal out of that. Paul, it's like a football team playing a preseason game.
Yeah.
They'll improve a great deal off that first game.
No, you're right. And it's all about confidence here. And by the way, as you see the horse is loading, don't blink. Half the field is gray. So we had a little bit of a rainy day, better gray and a rainy day, but 4 of them are gray. So if you bet one of them, good luck.
Well, it's the 5-year-old for Chad Brown, the 5 Business Cycle. He is the 2-to-1 favorite on the board, making just the second start of his career. This starts the late pick 4 here on Whitney Day. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York Racing for the call. Here's Larry Colmus.
Il Udair goes in. They're all in line. They're off. Slow beginning there for Dark and Cloudy. Raphael's got some early speed with Duncastle. These two out to the front with Il Udair on the outside. Business Cycle is away, running in 5th in behind them as Point of Humor comes through on the inside to grab 4th. Break of another 2.5 back. And then it's El Khatam, followed by Dark and Cloudy. And last of them all up the backstretch is late-running Hirsch, who's racing 9 lengths from the front. Up the backstretch, Duncastle has grabbed the front after a 22.64 quarter. On top by 3/4 of a length, Raphael, Il Udair on the outside. Right up there, too, is Business Cycle. Dark and Cloudy is circled up into 5th position, racing outside of Point of Humor. Then it's Al Khatam, who's still second last, and Hirsch on hold at the back of the pack, but starting to move 3 wide, and Hirsch is picking off horses now with a blitz on the far turn. Here he comes. He's circling up on the far outside as Il Udair grabs the lead. It is Il Udair turning for home in front, putting away Duncastle. Hirsch is coming wide on the far outside. Business Cycle's in the fight, too, as they come to the final furlong. Il Udair with the rail in the lead. Hirsch storming up on the outside. Between those two, it's Business Cycle. Hirsch down the center, drifting out. Business Cycle goes with Hirsch. Il Udair gives way to 3rd. Hirsch and Business Cycle come down to the wire with Hirsch in front. And Hirsch and Joel Rosario do it. Business Cycle was 2nd. El Khatam finished well and was 3rd. Il Udair 4th in 1:23.24.
Former Chad Brown assistant Dermot Magner the win with Hirsch and Joel Rosario aboard.
Yeah, gets his previous boss right on the wire there in Chad Brown. But the number 4 Hirsch got that pace that he wanted in front of him here today. A well-timed move out in the center of the racetrack, but this horse ran today.
No, I totally agree, Gabby. I think this is a real step forward for him. Unlike last time, I mean, the pace was honest, but I wouldn't say that we're absolutely flying up front, and he circled the field. He was the best horse. I mean, Business Cycle had a little bit of trouble in the backstretch, had to steady briefly when Il Udair went there, but you know what? Best horse won this race.
I don't know about that. I thought Business Cycle was the best in here. I think he got stopped by the 7 on the backside, and he wasn't really able to move, and I thought the 4 got the jump on him. Rosario was able to finish. I thought Business Cycle ran giant in here, but Hirsch, listen, he just outfinished him late. I can understand where you're going, but I think that hindered Business Cycle a little bit.
No doubt about it. Business Cycle had the tough trip. He got stuck behind the speed. He wanted to go, couldn't, and then when he went into the turn, he got a little sawed up. El Udair lost his position, came running again. He ran really, really well, and just at the very end, got a little tired. That layoff made a big deal about that.
Meanwhile, the 3 at the start here, Dark and Cloudy, tough beginning there, getting sawed off.
Yeah, got sawed off. Tried to make a sort of a move around horses. Didn't really get sawed off. Just broke slowly. Then the 4 sort of came in, but nothing happened. But tried to make a middle move down the backside. But listen, when you get left in the gate, that punch sort of gets taken out of you. But Joel Rosario and Hirsch and gets the job done instead of Jimmy Creed.
Business Cycle with the Clairvaux Silks of the red and the white is right now wanting to go somewhere but can't. And he's going to check again right in this stage right here when the gray horse, the 8, passes him on the outside. He's going to lose his position, recovers from that, still runs a very, very good race.
I see him had to check a little bit right there. Again, red and white cap, white silks with the red stripes. Difficult going right there. And in the end, it's Hirsch who gets the win, second time out. 7-2 on Hirsch, the son of Jimmy Creed. Second Jimmy Creed winner we've seen this afternoon here on Whitney Day. For Nice Guy Stables, and Dermot Magner owns a piece of the son of Jimmy Creed as well. We'll have the prices for you when we come back. 4-5-1-8 finish. We're going to take a break. We'll step aside for a quick timeout. More Saratoga Live on the way next.
This proven son of Giants Causeway has sired 4 millionaires, including Claiborne Farm stallion Lee. Recent top runners include 4-time graded stakes winner Miss Sky Warrior, 3-time graded stakes winner Sharp Samurai, multiple stakes winner Bal Harbor, and Dubai Group 3 winner Shamal Nibras. Last year, his 2-year-old sold up to $540,000, while his yearlings fetched up to a whopping $575,000. First Samurai, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're on. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
We are back on Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2 and other regional networks across the country. Hirsch, second time out, the son of Jimmy Creed, for Dermot Magner, the former Chad Brown assistant, beating his former boss, who had 2 in the race. Chad Brown winds up second and third. His former assistant gets the win. Let's go downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
And Dermot, a quiet guy. So all he said was, this is just so surreal. Your first win on Whitney Day at Saratoga. Hirsch delivers for you, Dermot.
Yeah, I mean, we always liked him, but this is a pretty historic day of racing, and it's, you know, it's surreal, but so special. It's a day I'll remember for a long time.
As you should. Also taking down your former boss, Chad Brown, with his 2 runners in here. Hirsch, troubled trip first time out. We spoke to you before. You alluded to the fact that you liked him, but how much forward has he moved on from that effort to get to the winner's circle here today?
You know, I was a little worried coming back in 4 weeks, but he had 2 nice half-mile breezes. I didn't expect him to be so far back today, but you know, he's got a lot of heart, this horse.
7 furlongs as well. Do you expect him to go longer the way he finished?
You know, I kind of had a plan in my head that we want to be at the Malibu in December. Not sure how we're going to get there, but that's going to be the plan with him.
Well, it looks as though he does possess that talent to get. So how are we celebrating tonight, Dermot?
Iced tea.
He's a quiet guy. Wink, wink. Dermot, congratulations from all of us here.
That's Steve Spielman, the owner here. Without him, I couldn't have done this.
Steve, well done you as well. And it's just a joyous. It's so cool, Greg, when people get their first wins of their training career at the spa.
That is a tremendous moment for sure. And beating your old boss as well in the process, who runs second and third right behind him.
That's what you call sweet. You know, I remember my first one, 1987, Sportsman's Park, the defunct now Sportsman's Park. You never forget your first one.
How do you think former boss feels about that one?
I'm sure he's proud of him. Honestly, I'm sure Chad's very proud of him.
Now we hear from D. Wayne Lukas all the time that all the great horses he's had over his time, he's maybe even more proud of all the people who've come up underneath him, and now Chad Brown's starting to kind of start that process as well.
Plus, when you're seniority like D. Wayne is, he's able to joke around and he's able to mess with those guys. And here's the thing, still to this day, they all respect him.
7th race coming up here. It's a maiden special weight at 6 furlongs. Keep in mind, this was originally expected to kick off the Naira Bets Late Pick 5. There is no Naira Bets Late Pick 5 this afternoon. The last 2 races on the card were canceled. They're going to be rescheduled for another afternoon. But still a good one coming up in here. And right now, Justice of War, the 5-2 favorite. This man will be aboard. Ricardo Santana Jr. teaming up with Steve Asmussen. That has been a formidable pair here at this meet. We're going to hear on this young rider and how hot he has been from his trainer coming up.
Bayern turning for home in front. Coast of New York on the outside. California Chrome is third. Shared Belief laboring venture in fifth. 1 furlong to run. Bayern, Coast of New York. California Chrome on the outside. The 3 of them come to the wire. Bayern, Coast of New York. California Chrome. Here's the finish. Bayern holds on.
Be very challenging, but
Nitrous, the leader, put the glass down. 1 off the rail now, up on the attack with 1 furlong to run. Nitrous holding on to this lead from Put the Glass Down. And then it's Most Mischief on the outside. Nitrous just keeps on going. Nitrous and Ricardo Santana Jr. going to take them all the way to win it by 3 to Put the Glass Down. Most Mischief was 3rd and Binary was 4th.
He's done a lot of the work. You know, I think the success with the 2-year-olds has a lot to do with how familiar he is with them and the confidence level that he has in them. And it has obviously worked, and we plan on keeping it up.
Nitrous, one of 5 2-year-old winners Ricardo Santana Jr. has had for trainer Steve Asmussen, who you just heard from right there. and 12 total wins at the meet. He sits in 4th overall among the jockeys at the toughest meet in the country.
This group of 2-year-olds this year for Steve Asmussen, from what I've seen not only here, but in the Midwest, and those Midwest winners are not second stringers, by the way.
Yeah.
He's got the strongest group of 2-year-olds of any trainer in the United States.
Yeah, he's won a couple races here that have been phenomenal. I mean, even a well-regarded Chad Brown horse I think is going to be very, very good. Albertus Maximus ran a good third to one of a wake under of one of his horses. Yeah, he lost the locks, and he got a lot of good 2-year-olds. Maybe Tom Amoss needs a haircut.
Well, the man who's been guiding all those 2-year-olds into the winner's circle, Ricardo Santana Jr. He's having a tremendous meet. Gabby Gaudet had a chance to catch up with him earlier today.
Well, of course, the Saratoga meeting can be very challenging, but Ricardo, you have started off the meet in fine form, currently 4th in the jockey standings. But some 2-year-olds in particular have been very impressive for Steve. Talk a little bit about them and just their preparation so far at this meet.
Well, we got a lot of 2 years old right now. Steve have a lot ahead, 2 years old. The horses, all of them coming from the greatest school. Steve Daddy broke almost all the babies that Steve have, and the babies doing a good job in the game. They're breaking pretty sharp, and they're running pretty good today.
They're running very, very impressively. You're on a 2-year-old later today as well. But talk about the test stakes and Mia Mischief and the victory ride last time out and what you thought her excuse was.
I don't feel that she was liking the bum on the racetrack. She was pretty nervous too in the paddle. She's never like that, and she's training now. She's training pretty good, and I have a lot of confidence in her, and I think she's gonna run a good race today.
Do you find that she will have a little bit of an advantage being outside of the other speeds that are posted to her inside?
I love my spot today. I don't have to be in a hurry. I can do whatever I want in a race, and I have a lot of confidence in her today.
All right, well, best of luck.
Thank you so much.
That's still to come for that young man, Ricardo Santana Jr. Mia Mischief in the Grade 1 test. She's already run at 7/8 of a mile. She is very, very quick, but there is some other speed in that race.
Yeah, he's going to have to break away, and you're right, there is some other speed. As you see, he is up there in number 4 on the jockeys list. And by the way, he's very talented. He's the barber inside the clubhouse here for the jockeys. Yes, he does it all. Some pictures of him cutting some of the jockeys' hairs yesterday.
You think he cut his boss's hair?
Yeah, I was going to ask that question.
Might have.
Chad Brown leading the way, but Ricardo Santana Jr.'s main man, Steve Asmussen, right there in second, having a tremendous meet. He's been one of the big stories early on here at Saratoga, and so is Bill Mott with 8 wins.
Yeah, the guy right below him, too, Joe Sharp. And I think Robertino Diodoro just keeps surprising people. He's winning races everywhere.
Winning races everywhere and very active in the claim box. He keeps it going.
And of course, Chad Brown, we just expect him to be on top all the time. So the 15 wins, yeah, we give him that as we send it downstairs to Andy Serling and Gabby Gaudet.
Thanks, guys. You know, this is an interesting race, and that's all the earmarks of one of those great Saratoga 2-year-old races. I'm actually interested in the 9 Fabulous Fun, of Phipps' first-time star, but the 2 Justice of War for Steve Asmussen taking all the money. And Gabby, they may like this one, but does he really have like 20 2-year-olds back there? They're all going to keep running and winning?
Yes. Probably, just considering the strength of his 2-year-olds throughout the country. But this is a typical 2-year-old maiden special weight on Saturday at Saratoga. Everybody loves their horse. There's been touts for every single runner in this race, including the number 2 Justice of War. And I did get to speak to Ricardo Santana off air a little bit about this horse. He said he was aboard for the gate workout up here. That was on the 25th of July. He said this horse broke phenomenally.
Well, we'll see. We've seen outside runners dominating and closers in general today. The 4 Dylan Rocks, we're going to touch on 2 that ran. Dylan Rocks was very heavily touted before his debut, and for these connections to be 2-1, facing 2 Todd Pletchers, in fact, a Todd Pletcher firster won that race at 7-2. I thought he got one of those uncomfortable inside trips after breaking slowly, and I think Dylan Rocks is going to run a lot better today.
He did. He did not break well whatsoever, and I thought that compromised his chances. Usually when you hear about touts and fast workouts, horses generally break very quickly, and that's what leads to their success. And that wasn't the case with this horse. And I did talk to Kendrick Carmouche. He said that he actually was aboard that gate workout most recently. It was an impressive gate workout. So I would not be surprised if he was a completely different horse today.
I think if we had 45 minutes to talk about the rest of this race, we'd probably still have things to say. But right now, we're going to say, let's go back to the roof.
All right, Andy, thank you. Yeah, we'll have the paddock report post-parade coming up in just a little bit. Show brought to you each and every day in part by this outstanding sprinter right here, Run Happy, on the farm in Claiborne in Paris, Kentucky. Never lost during his career as a sprinter. A perfect 7 for 7, including a track record in the Breeders' Cup Sprint at Keeneland. We're going to take a break. We'll be back. More coming up right after this.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Welcome back to Saratoga Live on this gorgeous Whitney Day as we are getting ready and horses are ready here in the paddock for today's 7th race. Maiden special weight for the 2-year-olds going 6 furlongs, and I'm here to give you a paddock report. And as always, it's brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Curlin, as we will check out number 2, Justice of War, who is your current favorite. They paid up for this son of Strong Mandate, so we don't typically see, or we haven't seen a lot of Strong Mandates. A new sire, as he was a good 2-year-old for trainer Dwayne Lucas. But worked 10 flat at the OBS April sale, and I was actually just told that he worked into a very, very strong headwind. So that 10 flat work, which was the fastest, one of the fastest of the day, it's actually very, very good, because I couldn't quite tell. He's holding his head a bit higher overall, and I didn't love that about him, but the fact of the matter is he looked extremely quick, and that's exactly the same feeling I'm getting here in the paddock as well. He has been professional here for trainer Steve Asmussen. The only knock I have is that we all know that Steve is very good with his second-time starters, and that typically is because, well, sometimes they just need a start. He probably looks 90% fit to me, but he might be just that good. Moving on to number 1, Fullness of Time, son of Flatter, out of a Wadena, who actually produced Bobby Abu Dhabi, the late Bobby Abu Dhabi, unfortunately, but a very nice sprinter in his time, and this guy does look fast. He's very round. He's very much of that sprinter build. He looks fit enough to me. I mean, we'll see what he does here. Maybe he just needs one to get the light bulb to go off. Number 3 is Cousin Pete for trainer Todd Pletcher, $320,000 for this guy as he worked 10 and 2. He moved like a horse that wanted to cover more ground. He looks like a horse that wants to cover more ground. So if this was a 7/8 race, I'd be a little bit more optimistic. He is gorgeous, don't get me wrong. I just feel as though he'll want more ground, and I don't know if he's able or capable of winning at 6 furlongs first time out here, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thank you very much. Approaching the 10-minute mark to post here. Coming up as we take a look there at another first-time starter and riders up.
Doesn't this
Joel
smell?
Rosario.
Smells like a group, Tom, that this could be a good group. I have a feeling like when you look at this field now and the way Maggie was talking about him, this feels like this, you could find somebody out of here.
You know, and when you see these kind of groups, oftentimes raw talent, which I mean first-time starters, you know, they're there. But the experience of a race and a little talent to go with it can oftentimes beat that raw talent first time out the box.
You never know. We could be looking at next year's Kentucky Derby winner.
This is why we're at Saratoga, for races like this. Really, I understand we have all the stakes races, we have all this, but when you roll out these 2-year-olds, like Gabby said, all these horses are tipped out over the racetrack. We'll find out who the real deal is here in a little bit.
Post parade coming up. This horse here, a lot of them we heard from Gabby. These horses have been touted, but that horse has as well. Justice of War will have the rail in this race. We showed you Steve Asmussen and Ricardo Santana Jr., what they have done with 2-year-olds at this meet, looking for a 6th win with a 2-year-old.
Yeah, and if they do that, I mean, like, listen, like Andy said, if the 6 is a charm, I mean, they can't win with all of them, but they're betting them pretty strongly.
We'll kick things off with Fullness of Time. He's going to have post 2 in here for trainer Chad Brown, son of Flatter, with Javier Castellano aboard.
And he's out of Wadena, who was very fast herself, making him a half to Bobby Abu Dhabi, who was very fast too. So a lot of speed in the pedigree.
Justice of War. He's going to have the rail in this race. Steve Asmussen and Ricardo Santana Jr.
A very impressive 2-year-old work led to a huge purchase price for a horse with very little pedigree.
He's a 2017 Fasig-Tipton October sale graduate as well. The 3, Cousin Pete. He's a 2017 Fasig-Tipton July sale graduate for Todd Pletcher.
Yeah, decent work at the OBS sale by Yes It's True out of that Dixie Union mare, who was only 2 for 33 on form.
Dylan Rocks, the 4, trained by Bobby Barbera, 2017 Fasig-Tipton October sale graduate.
The first of 2 horses with experience, and as good as the firsters may be, do not discount the value of experience.
Mucho is taking mucho money here. 12-1 morning line. He's the favorite right now for Hall of Famer Bill Mott.
Word must have gotten out that this was Gabby Gaudette's sneaky horse, Mucho. I have no idea why he's taking this money. We'll find out if it's meaningful.
Son of Blame with Jose Ortiz aboard. The 7, Moon Colony, first-time starter for Mark Casse.
One of the few horses that's not really taking a lot of money in here, but a very attractive Uncle Mo colt on the track.
Fabulous fun, a first-timer for Shug McGahee, Joel Rosario.
Another one who's been posting fantastic workouts right now at 9 to 2, and a very nice pedigree to showcase.
And a son of Street Sense, a 2017 Fasig-Tipton October sale graduate for Nick Zito Sneeds.
Nick Zito won 2 Whitneys with commentator. We'll see how good this is. He'll need to be good to beat this field.
8 minutes to post here in race 7 coming up. Again, you can play along from home with all the races that we bring you each and every day here on Saratoga Live. Go to NYRABets.com or download the NYRA app. You can bet any track, anywhere, anytime, and you'll get a $200 new member sign-up bonus in your account. Use the code Saratoga Live to take advantage. You play Saratoga Showdown each and every day as well without risking any of your own money. You're competing for real prizes like a 2019 Belmont Stakes ticket package. And a look at the standings right now. Two-way tie at the top. Go to NYRA.com/standings each and every day that we are on to get involved.
Yeah, listen, the way we talk about this all the time, it's a good way, especially if you're a newbie, to really navigate the website and to show you a little bit how to bet, pick threes, pick fours, whatever is the flavor of the day on the website.
Now, we've talked about this a lot on our show, but when you see a horse like this, the 6-horse, 12-1 morning line, now the 5-2 favorite, how much attention, especially in a 2-year-old race, Tom, do you have to pay to the board here?
Well, I love that he's had a start. We talk about that a lot in the experience. Look, got beat by Whiskey Echo last time. Whiskey Echo came back to run third in the Stanford, and the work pattern since Mucho's last race is very, very good. So I think Mucho is showing his hand in the morning as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. And on top of that, it looks like he could be a completely different horse leading into his second performance just because of the work tab that Tom was alluding to. But on top of that, I found a crazy stat for Bill Mott, second-time starters in maiden special weight company, finishing in the money last out, so hitting the board in their debut. He's 40% out of 20 horses and a positive ROI of $2.25. And the board is telling you.
This is outrageous, the amount of money he's taking. And Tom has to be right that he's working sensationally because stats aren't going to make the price. His first race was a very slow race. He is being bet. I don't like this horse, but the way he's being bet, I'm not going to be surprised when he wins the race.
Yeah, and I'm surprised the 9's not getting bet. And the reason why, the pedigree is there, that horse has got some very, very hidden works in there. And the hidden works for 3 furlongs, which Shug does not work his horses that much for the Phipps family. I think that horse is well meant. I'm surprised he's 5-1. I'm loving it.
Let me ask you a question, Paul, because I actually like the 9 here. I mean, the way the 6 Mucho's getting bet, right? The way the 2 horse for Steve Asmussen is tipped and getting bet. Wouldn't you argue that a Shug McGee first-time star at 5-1 is actually getting bet?
Yeah, he's not cold. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
They can't all be 2-1, right?
Yeah, no, that's true. And listen, Tom and I circled the form on the 3. Cousin Pete, he's actually getting bet a little bit considering the first full out of a dam that was 2 for 33 lifetime, Tom.
Yeah, this is one horse that Cousin Pete, the Fletcher horse, actually has 2 gate works in his past performance as he makes his debut. Up until this point, most of those horses of Fletcher's, and he hasn't been breaking well with his young horses, only have shown 1 gate work. So I think the message is clear. We're going to do more gate work with our horses and try to get out of there quickly with these first-timers.
That's a great point.
Sure. Tom, as a trainer to prepare these first-time starters, is there any bit of a difference in working at the training track, obviously Oklahoma at Saratoga, and the main track, and preparing horses to be ready at first asking?
You know, I'm only can venture a guess, but I think it goes back to what lessons they might be learning at the farm. If a bunch of these horses are coming from the same place, maybe they're not getting their lessons as good as they should, Gabby. I don't have the answer to that, except to say that Todd Pletcher is more than just a proven trainer, and he's going to get it right.
Now, one of Todd Pletcher's runners, who's been over that Oklahoma training track, the 3 Cousin Pete. We're going to take a look at, again, here in a moment, 5-1 on the board. And for all the horses, we say hot and taking attention on the board. This horse a little cool on the board.
A tiny bit cool on the board. But, again, so many horses are, somewhat getting, like Andy said, the 9 is getting better. You're looking at the 7 right now. Moon Colony, who's not totally getting his miss. Now we're on the 3. Cousin Pete, yeah. Listen. A lot of these horses, they paid hefty prices for. It's $320,000 for a Yes, It's True. He's got some decent works, but you make a great point. A lot of his horses have been not doing good stuff at the gate, and you get 2 gate drills into, and it wouldn't be surprising for a Todd Pletcher 2-year-old to win.
Not at all.
With more on the current favorite, Mucho, for the Hall of Famer Bill Mott, let's go to Maggie.
Thanks, Greg. And just kind of touching on horses who are moving very nicely out here. One of them is your current favorite in number 6, Mucho. I don't see much of a difference from first start to second, but I really like the way he warmed up here beneath jockey Jose Ortiz, just really throwing his legs over the surface and just looked utterly comfortable. Next, we'll check in with number 4, Dylan Rocks. Now, this is a horse that faced, I don't know what the quality of field was first time out. Yeah, he didn't break that alertly. He was tipped out all over the place. The problem is that I feel as though collectively this field just looks to be a bit deeper than that field that he faced back at Belmont. Maybe he's moved forward that much. I don't see it here physically. He's even acting still a bit green out here. I don't know. I'm a little bit dubious about Dylan Rocks. We'll see if he's going to live up to that money he's been taking, because he has been working well in the morning. Next, we'll check in with number 7. That is Moon Colony, a first-time starter for trainer Mark Cassidy. A half to cavorting. It's a very nice filly for Kieran McLaughlin, who could run short, who could run long. And I love the way this horse warmed up, moved, just very athletic, not the biggest type, but looks very well suited to the 6 furlongs. Ready as well. I'd almost opt to take this horse at a decent price, just because he hasn't done anything wrong. Now, moving on to the Shug McGahee first-time starter. That is number 9, Fabulous Fun. This horse has a pedigree to run all day long. How is he going to win first out at 6 furlongs? He looks like he wants to run all day. I don't know. I feel as though he needs an effort to build off of here, Greg. I'll be taking the wait-and-see approach with Fabulous Fun.
Well, we just saw the other day those silks and that trainer being honored, Heavenly Prize inducted into the Hall of Fame, and Shug McGahee talking about how special that partnership has been with all the tremendous horses the Phipps family and Shug McGahee have had over the years.
Yeah, listen, it's another dam that's, I mean, throwing out some nice horses. Fabulous Fun, yeah, I'm with Maggie in one point that, yeah, look for him late, but when you have so many horses that are touted, they all have probably early speed, and maybe the 9 is the one that will sit way back and make that one run and be able to swallow some horses, because a lot of these other horses are taking money.
9-2 right now on Fabulous Fun, but Mucho holding steady as the favorite here on the board. It's just tough to go against what Steve Asmussen and Ricardo Santana Jr. have done together with their 2-year-olds here at the meet with the 2 Justice of War. But again, we don't know. So many unknown quantities here in this race, and that's what makes this 2-year-old racing so special here at Saratoga.
The one point I would like to make is, as it concerns the 4, Dylan Rocks, and we've talked about his last work, which was From the Gate. I actually saw that work here. This horse is fast, and I think this horse with Kendrick Carmouche, who worked him out of the gate last weekend, is going to show the way early. I don't know if he can last or not, but he's a live long shot.
A rider that we talk about all the time, so aggressive early. So if this horse had some speed, you know Kendrick Carmouche, he's going to push and try and make the front. Race 7. Bunch of new faces here. Mucho, though, the 6 horse, your favorite for Hall of Famer Bill Mott. He does have a race under his belt. 12-1 morning line. He is the 2-1 favorite right now. Who will step up here in the 7th race? Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York Racing for the call. 2-year-olds at Saratoga. Here's Larry Colmus.
And the last one to come up to the starting gate here is Sneeds. The long shot in the race, taking that outside post under David Cohen. And they're all in line. They're off. And it is Justice of War who speeds right out to the early lead. With Mucho away running in 2nd position, Fabulous Fun is out 3rd on the outside. Dylan Rocks is 4th. Then it's Fullness of Time to the inside. 3 lengths more back to Moon Colony. Cousin Pete is next, and last of them all is Sneeds up the backstretch. And here comes Fabulous Fun up for the front. On the outside of Justice of War, and they blaze through a 22.11 opening quarter mile. Mucho is right behind them, running in 3rd by another 3. Dylan Rocks is 4th. And then comes Fullness of Time, Moon Colony to the outside, followed by Cousin Pete and Sneeds, and they're coming to the top of the stretch. Here comes Mucho, circling up on the outside of Fabulous Fun and Justice of War to grab the lead as they turn for home. Dylan Rocks is 4th, Fullness of Time 5th on the inside, then Moon Colony. Mucho by the 8th pole, pulling away by 5, by 6. Justice of War is next. Fabulous Fun on the outside. Fullness of Time. They're coming to the wire, and Mucho won it by 9. Fullness of Time was 2nd. Justice of War and Moon Colony in 110.19.
In a canter, Mucho, so much the best here. 2nd time out for Bill Mott. Jose Ortiz on the board.
So the instructions were sit behind the speed, go around everybody, move your hands a little bit, and then wrap up. And that's exactly what Mucho, the 6 horse, did. much the best. I think they called it 9 lengths, but that's the easiest of winners in a race where there was a lot of good raw talent today.
Yeah, the board showed up, 110 flat. You know, when the 9 made that middle move and sort of pressured the 2, Justice of War, Jose Ortiz just sat back and waited for it to happen, and it was over. The money showed up, and the public was dead on.
A son of Blame, bred by Claiborne Farm, owned by Claiborne Farm, just stamped himself as the favorite for the hopeful.
Seriously, we saw something incredibly special today. You don't see horses with all of the talent and pedigree on a Saturday at Saratoga win by almost 10 lengths. This was something special.
It really was. And the other thing is, this was a pretty quick pace. The Well-Met McGay horse was on it. He faltered in the stretch. The Well-Met Steve Aspen horse, who ran fine, faltered in the stretch. But this horse was right behind the leaders. Good trip? Okay, but he was right on top of the pace. This was something.
Most impressive performance we've seen by a 2-year-old, I'd have to say, at this meet so far.
Wow, that's big words. We've seen some really, really good 2-year-olds this meet.
I thought, yeah, professionally wise, yeah, I'm with them downstairs because I thought he was able to back him up off that speed duel and then able just to crush those 2 and finish.
6-1, 2-7, but Mucho much the best. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
We're going to try this here, guys. Mucho, well, he is the man. He likes to maybe jump on the pony, but Jose, as soon as you pulled up, just found my hopeful runner.
Yeah, he's a really nice baby, and I think, the 7 furlongs will be great for him. And he ran really nice today, and Adam Makin gave me his 100%, so I'm really excited about him.
Jose, you didn't even really ask him. You just opened your hands up on him.
Yeah, I hit him left-handed. I don't want to get surprised by somebody coming from behind. I knew I got some nice babies behind me, so I don't want to get surprised. I let him go from the 316 to the 8-pole. Then from the 8-pole, I look at the TV, and I see that he was in front easy, so just kind of hand-ride him to the wire and let him learn something.
Jose, you rode him first time out. How much has this horse changed and improved from first to second start?
He improved a lot today, but the first time, the winner dug in on the start, and he got crushed. And he came back. He got a very good educational race, and he ran second. I think it was a great second, and today he showed up that he's a really nice horse.
He was utterly professional and pretty thrilling down the stretch. Jose, well done. Congratulations here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, guys, looks like Mucho, he might be one of the favorites for the hopeful.
I would think so. That was an awfully professional performance. Second time out here for this Son of Blame out of a pulpit mare. As you take a look at Walker Hancock, we had the privilege of having him on our show a little bit earlier. Of course, Blame stands at Claiborne Farm, and this one owned by Claiborne and Adele Dilschneider.
He did a great job on the set. He's got to be pumped. He's a wonderful young kid doing a great job, and they keep pumping out runner after runner. They got a nice one to look forward to here.
And those same silks we're going to see a little bit later on in the meet as well, likely in the personal ensign with Elate, who just coming off that layoff to win the Delaware handicap at 1 1/4 miles. Still to come, the Test and the Whitney. Separation of Powers and Mia Mischief making their way over for the Grade 1 Test ahead.
This successful son of AP Indy has sired 6 millionaires, including Eclipse champion West Coast, a multiple Grade 1 winner and runner-up in the $16 million Pegasus World Cup. This year, Flatter is adding even more stakes winners to his outstanding record at stud. In the auction ring, Flatter topped the 2018 Fasig-Tipton July sale with a $520,000 yearling. Success on the track, success in the ring. Flatter standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on Saratoga Live. Blame, part of the Stallion roster at Claiborne Farm. The son of Arch, Clips champion, 3-time Grade 1 winner, including that Breeders' Cup Classic victory, holding off Zenyatta's late charge, already with 10 stakes winners in 2018, and maybe the star of the future in the making. And we just saw Mucho winning second time out for Claiborne Farm in the silks of Adele Dilschneider.
Yeah, listen, they got to be excited. Like you said, the son of Blaine had the pulpit mare Extent, and you know, I keep watching the replay. He was in between horses, and in his second career start, to have enough professionalism to just sort of lay back with Jose, soft hands, to just go by those two horses in front. Wow, that was very, very impressive.
And just drawing off without being asked for his best. You've got to like what Jose Ortiz said after the race in terms of complimenting his horse.
Yeah.
Let's take another look at this point. Already in front, and from here, Jose Ortiz does not have to do a lot with this son of Blaine.
But you know what I like about Jose is he just doesn't leave anything. He looked back final time, but you know what? He's riding the horse out. Within 70 yards left, now you got a 10-length lead. Now you can go ahead and let the horse stroll and do your old pimp job or whatever you want to call it and make it look all nice and pretty and sexy. But the thing is that I like is when he shook Walker Hancock's hand in the winner's circle, he looked right at him and said, "You have a nice filly on your hands."
He said, "Don't give this one to anybody else."
Exactly.
Yes.
Not only, the hopeful of this horse's sights with that performance, if he keeps progressing, who knows, as a 3-year-old for 2019. We talk about it all the time. 2-year-olds that debut here this time of year could become horse racing's future stars. Maybe we just saw one of them right there with Mucho's performance. The test, 3-year-old fillies in a Grade 1 at 7/8 of a mile coming up next, and separation of powers for trainer Chad Brown. Her second start back of her 3-year-old campaign. She is even money right now.
What you talking about, Willis?
Wow.
I saw this coming a mile away.
Called you out, and look
Come
at
on.
that. Is that your money?
One turn. This horse going one turn is a big-time horse. Look at that past performance. That is the Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner that was in her wake when she won the Frisette going one turn. This is a really, really good filly who only got beat last time because of getting stumbling out of the gate and really got left behind the field, like out the picture.
Well, the people at home want to know, because you're such good friends with Albert Stahl, what do you think of the 8-horse?
A runner, plain and simple. That horse can run, and that is the threat to the 6-horse separation powers, the 8-minute to stardom.
You're playing with Naira Bet. You can get a 10% winner's bonus on the trifecta in the Longines Test Stakes coming up. So head to NairaBets.com, take advantage of that, hit that trifecta, and get an extra 10% for doing so. We're going to take a break in the action. We will be back. More to talk about the test contenders and, of course, the Whitney as well. But a competitive group lining up, going 7 furlongs here for 3-year-old fillies ahead.
This graded stakes winner and multiple Grade 1 performer by Tapit has become one of the nation's leading sires of 2-year-olds. Ranked number 1 in his crop by number of winners, he sired 11 stakes horses in 2017, including graded stakes winners Wild Shot and Oklahoma Derby winner Untrapped. At the sales, his yearlings have sold up to $480,000. Trap Shot, standing at Claiborne Farm.
turned for home. There's 3/16 of a mile to the finish. It's Onion on the outside. Secretariat on the rail, stride for stride, head and head, and down the stretch they come. Onion on the outside, Secretariat on the rail. 1/8 of a mile to the finish. The leaders head and head, stride for stride. Secretariat and Onion. Onion has the lead by a head. Secretariat on the inside, past the 16th pole. It's Onion in front by a head. On the inside, Secretariat.
One of the greatest upsets in the history of our sport, and it came in the Whitney. Onion upsetting Secretariat. The chief, Alan Jerkins, noticed Secretariat was a little flat in a workout leading up to that race. He says, I'm going to enter my horse and take a shot, and that's what happened.
Yeah, and he had Onion pinned to the rail, didn't he? He had Secretariat pinned to the rail that whole stretch. What a ride he gave him that day. Yeah, and it's still going to go down probably as one of the biggest upsets ever in horse racing history. Yeah.
They would meet again. Secretariat was able to turn the tables, but cannot take that victory away from Onion and the chief, Alan Jerkins. What a moment here at the Graveyard of Champions. 91st running of the Whitney, of course, later on this afternoon. And Diversify, the New York bred, sensational in the Grade 2 Suburban. He is devastating when he's on the front end.
He really is, and speed is his game. And the faster I think he goes in the initial start of the race, when they start getting going, he sort of takes the hearts out of his other rivals. And I think that's what he's going to try to do today. I think that's what he has to do today to come back 4 weeks. His trainer's very confident with his last work, and I think they employ the same tactics they did the last time. Go to the front and improve your position.
We keep talking about what a great meet Bill Mott is having. We just saw him with an up-and-comer, a 2-year-old, win the last race. He's going to send out last year's Jim Dandy winner in Good Samaritan.
Yeah, look, Paul talked about how fast his horse is, Diversify, but this other fast horse in that race sets up well for Good Samaritan, a lot like last year's Jim Dandy, where he set it upset, sprung an upset, got the pace he wanted, came around everyone, and went drawing away.
Meanwhile, take a look at the rest of the field here in just a moment. 12-1 on Good Samaritan. With Naira Bets, you could bet $50 to win on the Whitney, and you get $20 for Travers Day, just like that, by playing with Naira Bets. We also have the richest New York bred of all time lining up in this race, stretching out, and Chad Summers believes Mind Your Biscuits is going to be even better around 2 turns.
Well, we will definitely see about that, as today he is stretching out to not only the first time going 9 furlongs, but the first time ever going 2 turns. He has taken his talents literally everywhere, including the Dubai Golden Shaheen, a race that he won not just this year, but last year as well. He's an incredible horse, and I think that an argument could be made that he is the most accomplished and talented horse in this field. But a lot of the times we see that he is that closing 1-turn horse, and when they stretch out to 2 turns, it deflates that kick.
Meanwhile, Backyard Heaven for Chad Brown. He went into the Stephen Foster as the favorite. He did not fire. Chad Brown hoping he just didn't handle the heat and humidity on Stephen Foster night.
And also, he was running late at night. Sometimes horses running that late under the lights at Churchill just don't perform well. Now, don't get me wrong. His last race is a major concern. But if you were to draw a line through it, and I don't like to draw through lines through races, but if you do, he would be the clear-cut second choice in here and the likeliest upsetter. And being that he's going to be 3rd choice in this race, I'm happy to take a shot with this horse, Backyard Heaven, to get back on track. But he needs to do it, and he needs to do it in a big way.
Let's not forget last year's Belmont Stakes winner, Tappert, making his 3rd start of his 4-year-old campaign coming back.
It's really tough to love him after his last 2 races. You know, he just hasn't really progressed. His Suburban was just a little confusing. He was really wide that day, but he has come back to work well since he's up here at Saratoga.
Look, he has, and he'll benefit from a legitimate pace up front. He likes that. Give Gabby Gaudet credit. She told me that he used to wear aluminum pads and wore for those last 2 races. They're off today. He's wearing normal shoes. That is going to help him a great deal.
Tappert won last year's Belmont Stakes, trying to get back into the winner's circle for the first time since that career-defining moment. That is your field for the 91st running of the Grade 1 Whitney. You can watch that race later on this evening on NBC Sports Network or on the Naira Now app or with Naira Bets. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more.
They're on. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Rushes out of there to take the lead. It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NyraBets.com.
Once again, among the world's leading sires of stakes horses and graded stakes horses, Warfront has sired 8 champions and 8 millionaires. Recent Grade 1 winners include European champion U.S. Navy flag and Lancaster Bomber, plus an ever-growing list of 2018 graded stakes winners. In the sales ring, his yearlings continue to bring prices well over $1 million. International Super Sire Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2 and other regional networks across the country. The Grade 1 test coming up in just 15 minutes. And that is a look at Separation of Powers. Her debut as a 2-year-old at Saratoga was something else. She won by more than 11 lengths that day.
Look, a lot of people said that was the most impressive maiden winner of the Saratoga meet last year. And she carried it over to Belmont, ran well in the Frizette. This most recent race she ran, the Victory Ride, she broke so badly and stumbled so badly, she wasn't on the picture screen when you watch the race. And she slowly came back into focus, made a good middle move, actually checked a little bit down the lane on top of that. That was a very, very good race that she had to overcome some difficulty that no horse can overcome.
Yeah, I'm with you. It was a brutal trip. And I feel that listen, she won her first race on Straight Talent. She went to the front end. And then she's too close to the place in the Spinway. She wants a target, and when she was able to settle her down, she's become a better racehorse. And Tom's completely right. She should have won the last race. She had so much trouble, and that's why she's getting bet. Again, this is a better field than she faced last time, probably, or most definitely. But she's still the one to beat.
Mia Mischief, meanwhile, she's very quick, and she has won at 7/8 for Steve Asmussen and Ricardo Santana Jr., her regular pilot, back aboard.
And Ricardo Santana, in the interview that we did a little bit earlier on the show, he did mention that she was different that day in the paddock in the Victory Ride, that she was getting a little hot and washy. So I'd be interested to hear what Maggie says on the 7 Mia Mischief today. But I like the fact that she's at least in a position to the outside of Classy Act, which was not the case in the Victory Ride.
Meanwhile, Minute to Stardom, the 8, Tom Amoss, what do you have for us here? You grew up with Al Stall. How talented is this runner?
All you have to do is watch the last race at Churchill Downs. Maybe not the best field in the world, but a dominant victory.
She was extremely impressive in winning last time. It's a huge move up in class for her, but she gets the right outside stalking trip, and I think she's the biggest threat to the favorite.
I agree.
4-1 right now on Minute to Stardom. She has never lost. Perfect 3 for 3. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale for more.
Thank you, Greg. And I want to start, I'll just want to start sequentially here as far as horses are concerned. And we'll talk about Alter Moon first here in the Grade 1 test as she comes in from South Florida. First time out here for Chad Brown, and I really like what I see. This is a filly that is just absolutely perfectly suited for the 7 furlongs. She's big, but she's athletic. She's nimble looking. She's really well conditioned. And I like what I've seen from her in winning, yes, against a somewhat weaker field here going back to the Azalea, but I really like what I'm seeing from her in the paddock. Number 7, Mia Mischief. As Gabby was talking, you know, Ricardo Santana said that she got wound up. I did not observe that Maybe she did. Maybe she did more so out on the track. She seems relaxed here. She's slightly on edge. She has not gotten hot or washy. We'll see what shakes out with her. And then finally, Minute to Stardom. Wow, you want to talk about impressive last time out performances. As Al Stahl just said, she's not your typical lawbred, as in reference to Louisiana breeding. And she looks fantastic. It's a big, powerful filly, Greg.
No, this is a huge test in the test for Minute to Stardom. Yeah, the Louisiana bred here for Britland Stables. And the test coming up next. It feels like everyone's forgetting about the other Chad Brown filly in this race, the 3 Alter Moon.
Yeah, listen, a new acquisition into his barn from the Jose Velez barn, but the money is not showing up, and that's what worries me a little bit.
She's the joker in the deck.
You can catch the test, of course, and the Whitney on NBC Sports Network. You can also watch it on the NYRA Now app and at NYRA Bets. And that's exactly how you do it right there. Click on Live TV Show, and that's where you're able to find it from your own phone. Enjoy. We are back tomorrow at our regular time, 4 to 6:30 Eastern. Enjoy the test and the Whitney. We'll see you tomorrow, everyone.